Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's up? What's up? What's up? Hope everybody's doing good today. Today we have a mystery comparison. Hold on. I can hear my stream on another computer. Let me go fix that real quick. All right, put your guesses on what you think the mystery OLED is. I wonder how many people get it right. I'll be right back. All right. Can you guys hear me? Let me know. See, we got a couple people in the chat. All right. So we got the positive feedback on the communication here, so we're good. All right, so this is Hellblade. This is a darker game. We'll test this first. This is gonna be like definitely more of what OLED is comfortable with. Don't worry, we're gonna make it fair. We're gonna make it fair. We're gonna do a whole bunch of different stuff, not just games. But yeah, it's just kind of demonstrating the strength and ability of both TVs and see where we go from there, right? Let's do that. So let's start a new story. And the camera is raised up a little bit because this is a darker game. I want you guys to be able to see it. So if you see a little bit of noise, do bear with me for this portion of the comparison. I have the camera split up so that we can see it. All right, everybody hears me. Cool. And yes, I have set up the Xbox for the Bravia. Okay, so this is definitely gonna be not like a neutral thing. So definitely is set up for the Bravia. Just keep that in mind. So the Bravia is not getting nerfed at all. So first of all, I just want to say what's up to Flying PJ and all the other people in the chat. Let's see who else is here while we let this cutscene kind of play out. See the differences. Mad Pistol says the right is the Bravia 9. Interesting. A lot of people guessing the LG G4. $65-inch Bravia 9 isn't available in Europe here. Dang. I know, like, that's one of the bummers that I heard about Europe's plan for Sony. They're not doing a 65-inch Bravia 9. That's unfortunate. I know a lot of people were really looking forward to this TV. The white balance is set for the Sony, so keep that in mind. This game does use 21:9 black bars. Unfortunately, there is a little bit of blooming in the black bars. But if you're focusing mainly on the actual picture that's in the middle of the screen, that might not be as distracting to a lot of people. But I know a lot of people just cannot tolerate any sort of blooming in the black bars. Unfortunately, that is definitely a thing on the Bravia 9. Yeah, so I'll tell you which one the Bravia 9 is. I'm just not going to tell you the name of the OLED. The Bravia 9 is the bigger one on the left. So the Bravia 9 is on the left. Yeah, I will tell you what I'm seeing. Don't worry about that. So the stream is in 4K. The image is still probably going to be really compressed due to, YouTube streaming and all that, but I am streaming in 4K for what it's worth to try to give you the best thing, right? So the best look at this. And again, this is a darker game. So like I have to raise up the camera. We will adjust the camera for each thing that we show. And this is just the intro sequence for Hellblade 2. So what I'm seeing overall is that on the OLED, there's definitely more of a contrast win here, but I don't think that people would mind the difference if they just had the Bravia 9. So I think that the Bravia 9 is pretty good contrast, but if you're really just comparing the deep levels of contrast, the detailed contrast, there really is no beating the OLED in this type of scene. There's also blooming in the black bars here. So a game like Hellblade 2, while it does look really nice on the Bravia 9, it does not win in this scenario versus the OLED. Now this is a darker game, so do keep that in mind. And it's a beautiful game. Like this game is crazy. They did such a good job on it. So let's take the photo mode here and sort of play around with some controls and look around here. See if we can see some things. So you do see light seeping into the black bars there in the top left. I don't know if you could see that or not. Let me raise the exposure so you can see it. Actually, I'm gonna put the camera in log mode real quick. So everything's gonna look a little bit washed out, but that's just me putting the camera in log mode. So just hang in there for a second. So you can kind of see, if you really look at it, there is some light seeping into the black bars there on the top left. Again, I don't know how much that's gonna bother people or not, but in a completely dark room, it is noticeable if you go looking for it. I also saw this in a few movies last night. Let me raise it some more. So like you can, there's a lot of noise in the camera now, but you can kind of tell a little bit better now that when we look at the ground, that's not too much of an issue, but when we look in the sky, it really is. So let me put it back. So I just kind of wanted to show you there are some downsides to gaming in like 21:9. There's not many games that are in this sort of aspect ratio, but so we can play around with the camera here. Let's just add some exposure. Crank it up. See if we can stress out the panels a little bit. So there's kind of stress in the panel. Again, the white balance is set to the Sony. Let's switch to another dark game, Ori. And again, we're not just doing games here, but I will start with games because we always start with other content. So I wanted to start with games this time. A lot of people had a lot of questions about game mode, and rightfully so. Let me adjust the camera a little bit. They look, fairly similar, to be honest with you. There is still a noticeable contrast difference. But again, if you have just the Bravia 9 by itself, I do not think you're going to be like, dang, I really miss the OLED. I really don't think people feel like that. So, unless your eyes are super trained to being used to OLED, but even then, it's like you can trick yourself with this TV. And so that's a really good sign, I think, for any type of LCD based TV is if it can trick your eyes into making you feel like you wouldn't miss OLED. That's a win, I think. So I am very impressed with this TV overall. There is some issues with the gaming in general. And it's not necessarily related to game mode because I have been testing out content and switching from game mode to outside of game mode. And you know what? It really looks pretty similar. It just comes down to how the backlight is controlling in games. Faster paced movements, camera movements, that's going to kind of show the backlight speed a little bit. It does lag behind a few times. I showed that in my first impressions video. If you look at the Sea of Thieves segment where I was kind of moving really fast and you saw the torches sort of lagging behind, that's pretty common with mini LED and really any local dimming based TV. So that's really a complaint that goes with all LCD TVs. With that said, it still is the best LCD TV for gaming like that I've ever seen. So it still is good. It might have sounded like I was really critical on game mode, and I am, but it's just because it's just tied to the technology more so, right? I think that overall people are going to be happy with this game mode. So if you're just locked into only getting a mini LED TV, this would be the best one for gaming. But you have to look at it in the grand scheme of things with competition in mind, right? So there's the LG G4, the S95D, for example. You have to look at it with those in mind too. So, and then there's this discussion is like, all right, so what if I come from an older OLED? Will I notice a difference? And I think with any modern TV in the premium category, that answer is yes. So if you're coming from an LG CX, for example, and you go to a Bravia 9, you will feel like that is an upgrade. If you go from a CX to a G4, you will feel like that is a huge upgrade. Like same thing with the Bravia 9, right? Like if you go to a S95D from a CX, you will feel like that is a clear upgrade. So it does belong in this premium category. I'm not saying that the contrast is going to match the G4 or the S95D, but if you wanted like to know how I feel about this TV, I like it a lot. I think it does hold its own. It passes the eye test. So I'm not noticing a ton of blooming, right? And that was a lot of people's concern. For me, it's just about the backlight control. So I do have it in game mode for both of the TVs, and more so set to, basically the gradation preferred. So, all right, let me check chat real quick. So, one thing about like sports games that I'm noticing is you really do have to kind of use brightness preferred in a lot of sports games. I don't know what it is. They tend to be a little bit darker. This game, for example, looks a bit washed out on the Bravia 9. And this is in gradation preferred. If I put it in brightness preferred, it'd look even more washed out. So the great thing about the Bravia 9 is like you can kind of fine tune things to your liking. You could drop the gamma on this game and it would look fine. Like I already told you, the Bravia 9 is the first TV, right? So that much is clear. I'm not going to tell you what the OLED is yet. But for example, we are in game mode, but you can make your own custom picture modes to make this experience a little bit better, right? So you can customize any of these. So for example, the RTS game is set a little bit different than the standard game. It's a little bit brighter and the gamma is dropped a little bit. So some people might actually just prefer this out of the box more so. And you can customize these modes. You don't have to use them as intended. So just keep that in mind. Like I'm just showing you stock game mode on both, but like you can do whatever you want. And I should say that I modified the OLED to be the warmer color temperature, but that's about all I changed. So let's check out a different game. And we're going to check out PlayStation 5 also. Yeah, you can drop the gamma. You can absolutely drop the gamma. And I found that dropping the gamma and then actually raising reality creation to like 45, say in something like Elden Ring, for example, and I'll show you this a little bit later, you could actually bring out specular highlights a little bit more, and they're a little bit more noticeable. They're a little brighter when you do this. It's kind of weird that it's tied to this, but I did find that specular highlights look better when you use reality creation. Just something I'll throw out there. So I do have black like bars covering up the bottom of the TV so I don't give anything away, and that's why it looks kind of raised on some parts of the stream and some parts it doesn't. So here I can see a big contrast difference in the OLED here. But again, if you don't have an OLED next to it, does it matter? Do you see the difference? I think only if your eyes are trained to look for it. Because I was showing this TV to my brother earlier and he thought this TV was an OLED when I didn't have the OLED on. But I immediately turned on the OLED and he was like, "Oh, okay, I see the difference now." But he tricked his eyes into thinking it was an OLED. I didn't tell him it was an LCD because I was just like, "Guess what it is?" And he was like, "This is another OLED, right?" So he couldn't even tell. But the moment I turned on the OLED, he could tell. So there is this like fine detail contrast that you won't get on the Bravia 9. So if your eyes are used to that, you might feel like that's a downgrade. But this is the closest that I've seen a mini LED get to OLED yet in terms of contrast. So I do want to be like 100% perfectly clear on that. Like if you ask me, like I think it looks really good on stream right now. It's holding its own pretty well, other than the contrast difference like I'm talking about. But as far as shadow detail, any detriments as far as like blooming, seeing things like that, I'm not seeing a ton of that. It doesn't like appear apparent. I can move this though, and you'll start to kind of see the backlight struggle a little bit. And it's just almost like it's very faint and it might even be kind of hard to see on stream. It's like a little ghost trail, almost like a floating DSE for a second. Someone says Bravia 9 is washed. And here's the thing, that's what I'm talking about. Like when you're looking at it next to an OLED, it can appear that way. Let me take down the exposure a little bit since it is a darker game. And now it also depends on how you game, right? Like, depending on what OLED you get, depending on what OLED you're comparing it to, the Bravia 9 can certainly get brighter, right? And if we're talking about SDR gaming, then the Bravia 9 is definitely going to be brighter. HDR gaming, it really depends on what you throw at it. If you weren't in a totally dark room, would that be noticeable? Yeah, I think contrast is noticeable with the lights on for sure. I think that when you see the difference, it's just, it comes down to the technology, right? It's millions of self-emissive pixels versus a backlit controlled LCD. So that's the thing that you're always going to have to compare it to. So if you are making that comparison and trying to figure that out, right? That would be where you go to. Let me look on chat here. The OLED is punchier. So I'm going to show you a couple of examples where, you know, we are going to get into some brighter games as well. What's up, High Def? High Def is the man. Go follow him on Twitter or X. I keep calling it Twitter. Hopefully this you're able to see this a little bit. And I do want to state that once we get into some brighter games, if there is a contrast or if there is a brightness difference and it's significant, the camera is going to have to adjust and figure out a way to show you that. And at times, it'll look like the OLED is crushing more than it is on camera. So like, it'll look like it's crushing more on camera than it is in person, I should say. So do keep that in mind. And then same thing goes with like the LCD might look a little bit too blown out, and that's not maybe the case. There's just sometimes there's a big difference in brightness once we get to those parts. So and here we go to a darker area again. So far, right, it seems like there's a lot of differences in darker games. And don't worry, this is not going to be a one-sided comparison. I promise you that. I'm just trying to show you the strengths and the weaknesses of each TV. And we will get to the OLED's weaknesses here in a second. I don't know if there's a camera on here. Is there a camera on here? Picture mode or whatever it's called. I think there is. I just don't remember how to get to it. Let me know in chat if you see photo mode. I know Ghost of Tsushima got a photo mode, and we're going to definitely check that out. All right, let's should we load up another game? Let's load up another game. How thick is the B9 panel? It's pretty thick. So the actual TV itself, 65-inch, was about 76 pounds. The box itself was 105 pounds. Luckily, I got them to carry it up the stairs, so I didn't have to carry it up the stairs in my house. So that's good. But you know, that is one of those things where it's a big TV. It's a pretty big TV. Does the Bravia 9 have micro stutter? Do you mean like in the motion? I haven't seen any issues with the motion. I mean, like, I'm not really sensitive to motion, which is why I don't really comment on it that much. I do notice little motion issues, like say the Samsung has that little stutter that bothers a lot of people, but I never really catch it when I'm watching real content. But I know some people are really bothered by it when there's like any sort of panning or something. So I'm not really the guy to go to for motion because I'm not sensitive to it. But some people are more sensitive than others. And so here we go to let me adjust the camera because it looks like the Bravia 9 is like totally washed, but it's not. It's just brighter. And again, I do apologize that at times it'll look like the OLED is crushing, and that is not the case. And certain games push the TVs harder than others, so that's going to be a really good example of showcasing multiple games here, so you can see that what exactly is going on. And I'm really bad at racing, so do keep that in mind. I'm gonna crash a lot. It's just gonna happen. We'll do like noon. Do noon. We'll make it clear so it's bright. So I also get that a lot of you guys use dynamic tone mapping when you game. I get that. So, if you want me to turn that on to make it fair, I can. I do like have it set for HDIG. One thing is like it will clip the highlights on the LG because I have it set for the Bravia 9, but that's not going to make the highlights dimmer on that. I just gave it away, didn't I? You didn't hear that on the OLED. So yeah, let's keep going. So it will make it dimmer on the OLED, and yeah. But yeah, it won't make the OLED dimmer. What's up, everybody? I just wanted to say what's up to Chrome. I see him. He just typed, "Hey KG." I see a couple of other people coming in here. Hey. So I'm gonna try to race and look at chat at the same time. So yeah, if I look at chat, I like drift off. So would you guys like if I turn on dynamic tone mapping? Let me do that just for this game real quick. The OLED is dim. Okay. Let's see if we can make it a little bit more fair. See, you guys were saying the OLED was winning in the last comparison. The last couple games that we did, you said the OLED won. All right, so I put dynamic tone mapping on the OLED. Give it a little bit more of a chance, right? So dynamic tone mapping is on the OLED. There you go. I'm drifting off. All right, we're gonna go to photo mode real quick because I'm gonna change a few things. But I want to zoom in on the car. It looks like it's washed out. It's not. Hold on. Let me fix that. Oh, you know what? I know why. It's because we still have the exposure set for the darker games. Let's try to get the color to come back. See, it's not washed out. See that? It's not washed out. It's just really hard to get the cameras to, like, you know, showing two big brightness differences here. That is so I do have the dynamic tone mapping on the OLED right now. So I do have that on. Turning on black adjust for the Sony? Sure. Just for a second, see what it does. Oh, wrong button. Let's see, it's in gradation preferred here. If we go to brightness preferred, it does get brighter. So yes, it does get brighter than what it is right now. If you could see me switching here. Again, it's not washed out, I swear. It's just there's such a big brightness difference that the camera is like, hold on, dude. Hold up. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, it's just going out of the picture. Yep, this is one of those games that is just so bright. So when I make this comparison, and don't worry, we're going to do more comparisons as well with different TVs in mind. I'm going to switch this back to gradation preferred though. Let's try a darker track. Let's try like night mode. So something at night, racing at night. You see I have it set to 2300 HDR brightness. That is where I found the sweet spot to be for the Bravia 9. If you're wondering, if you're getting a Bravia 9 and you want to play some games on it, put your HDR brightness at 2300 and you shouldn't clip highlights. So let's go ahead and set the track back to like something a little bit darker on this game. Let's see. This game is bright. I didn't realize how bright this game was until I was testing it last night, and I was like, wow, you know what? This game is bright. So let's go to events. And like I said, the first couple games we showed, advantage OLED, right? Contrast advantage, big time. So let's see. We're gonna go for, let's go for a night one, okay? Let's do that. And then let's make it cloudy, I guess. It's not night. Why'd they lie to me? Oh my god. Sorry about that. Alright, so I keep going to settings. It's gonna look like the colors are washed out, but it's not. But I realized the OLED was too dark looking on there, so I had to fix that. And that's the thing with cameras, man. You can like only show so much. It's at evening, but it's live. I'll just go night. Okay, that would work. So we're at night. I'm gonna go to photo mode and read chat real quick. Let's see. Andrew says just joining because I see some funny comments already. Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely harder to adjust. And we're gonna get into more than just games, don't worry. So I mean, like, it's pros and cons to the TVs for sure. Oh, and nobody said this is a fair comparison, by the way. I'm just gonna let you know that right now. I'm just having fun. So, you know how I do the streams. So let's see. Everybody's keeping it pretty chill in chat. So thank you for that. If you guys have questions, make sure you do ask them, and I'll try my best to answer and all that. And if you have an urgent question, the best way to reach out to me is gonna be super chat because I can always see those on the side here. But again, I do appreciate if you guys do that, but it's not necessary. Let's see. Let's go to another game. So far, I think Hellblade 2 is like a definite win for the OLED, right? Is everybody in agreement with that part? Let's try Elden Ring. Let's try Elden Ring here. So this is Elden Ring. This game is not a very bright game. So I gotta raise the exposure. I mean, I don't even know if that's enough to raise the I might have to go to a different area. This is a very, very dark area. Let's go underground to the well. All right, so here's where I see a clear advantage for the OLED, like a clear advantage. If you just look at the ground, you see the contrast on the ground, right? That to me, that much is clear, like crystal clear. When I'm looking at this image right here, it's not close. Like the OLED wins by a mile here. So that's what I'm talking about. Like when it comes down to like the deep contrast, right? There's things that you could do with a backlight, and there's things you can't do with a backlight. Those birds scared me. Those birds really did scare. I did not see them there. So like, let's look at these stars here. Now for a mini LED, Bravia 9 looks really good. Yeah, okay, back to OLED. See what I mean? It's like I'll have something to say at the end of the stream, but it's more so the stream was just kind of to demonstrate a lot of the different things you could see in the technologies, and it's like I said, it's not necessarily fair. I didn't tell you which is which, right? Am I using a premium OLED? Am I using a Skyworth OLED? I don't know. Who knows? I'll tell you afterwards. Not afterwards. I'll tell you like I'll probably tell you pretty soon, honestly. As they shoot arrows at me. So if you're wondering like, all right, so how do I get this game to look a little bit better on the Bravia 9? There's ways. I'll show you. Just kind of my preference personally. I'll show you what I would do on this game and what I have done. So let's go back up to these steps here so the rats aren't chasing us. We like to have fun here if you're new. We don't take things too seriously on this stream. We try not to anyway. We try to have some fun. So, all right. So there's clear contrast difference, right? Dang, those lights are all in your face. Sorry about that. What can we do to help the Bravia 9, you know, like with the stars? Well, I was telling you, like, you can change some things with the game mode, right? All right, so there's that. So like switching from like standard game to like RTS game and then making your own picture settings out of this is a really good way of doing it. I think this one's actually on brightness preferred. I would not play this game on brightness preferred because it lifts pretty much everything like a lot, and then it begins to not look like night anymore. By default, this is actually at -2 gamma. So if you just drop the gamma on this game, on this TV particularly, that helps a lot. But then also, you know, I think by default it is on that, but I'm gonna look at the stars and kind of show you a difference between the reality creation on and off here. I don't know if you could see that on stream or not, but it does kind of bring them stars out a little bit more. Not as much as the OLED though, unfortunately. But it does make them a little bit punchier, a little bit more noticeable. Like they would be pixels on the screen kind of thing. So I like to use it in that sense. Just to kind of make those stars come out a little bit more. But again, that's just like what I would do preference wise. Just showing you a little thing that I do personally. Now let's go back to the default game mode. Let's try a different area. So we're the Lake of Rot here. I need to adjust the camera again. Is it? Okay, yeah, it's in focus. I was worried. It's hard to tell. So like when you have to light things on the screen in dark areas, that's where I think any LCD will struggle. Um, Especially if those things are a little bit smaller from afar. It's the brighter highlights that do look really good on mini LED. But again, it comes down to the contrast, right? Like look at the walls here. Do you see the difference? Like from these two TVs, which one would you prefer right now? I know it's really hard to tell on camera. Like to me, to my eyes here, it's a night and day difference. I would take the OLED on this scene like every day of the week. Like this is scenes like this is makes me, not want to buy the Bravia 9 personally, but I do like the Bravia 9. Like I said, if I shut off the OLED, all of a sudden the Bravia 9 looks good again. They're just so much different in what they do. Their technology is so different. What's up, Gaming Tech? How you doing, man? So like I said, it will look like the OLED's crushing a little bit. This game is just it's meant to be dark. Like that's what it is. I don't think anybody guessed it right yet, but let's go to another area. I think this is actually another one of those same areas with the stars. Oh no, this is definitely a troublesome area for a mini LED TV. It's very cloudy. Very cloudy, I will say that. Like it looks really hazy looking where it looks crystal clear on the OLED here. You won't be able to really tell that part on the stream, I don't think. That's just like you just look at it and you can tell in person. That's what I'm seeing, and that's what I'm trying to do is describe what I'm seeing to you guys. Like here in the corner of the cave, I can see some blooming from the lights from the candles here on the side. Raise the exposure real quick. I don't know if you could see that, but going down to a lower exposure. So yeah, like in comparison, a game like this, an area like this, I'm gonna use like really strong terms, but in an area in a game like this, the Bravia 9 looks washed out. Oh, so you want to see what it looks like in professional mode real quick? Sure. Let's see. So that's professional mode. This game mode. Professional mode. Game mode. Like I said, there's not a drop off. There's not like a big drop off. It's just that technology. I'm just talking about it's a technology thing. It's the backlight. As good as the backlight is, it still is going to struggle in games like this. That's just the technology. So like I hope you understand that. And it's my job to kind of like teach people the difference between two different technologies. You know, without getting into too much things that might confuse you. This isn't a good test. Why isn't this a good test? Tell me why this isn't a good test. Streaming, cable, YouTube TV. We'll get to that. I'm not showing copyright content though. But we'll get to video content later. Thank you, CJ, for the super chat. He says 50-50 movies, gaming, B8 or B9. I don't want FOMO. It really depends on what you admire in your picture quality. Like what do you desire the most out of your picture quality? Because that's what it's going to come down to. What qualities do you desire the most out of your TV? Like, do you like brightness? Are you going to watch it in vivid mode? Like a lot of these things matter because everybody watches and plays their TV differently, right? Like if you're somebody who's going to watch it in vivid mode and SDR, like you can't beat something like a Bravia 9, for example, right? If you're somebody who's going to be in the professional reference modes most of the time, it's going to be hard to beat OLED in that matter. Both TVs are going to look great on their own, but it really depends on what you want. The Bravia 9 is definitely brighter than the B8. So, yeah, it goes back to that though, like being in areas like this forest right here. The backlight, it doesn't keep my character lit like on the OLED where it does. So, like as good as the backlight is in this TV, it's these darker areas, these darker games that you will see struggles. So, hopefully you do get that part. All right, so let's go to a bright area. I think there's a bright area in this game. Maybe there's not. This game maxes out at like 1,000 nits, I believe. Again, it really depends on how you watch or play your games. It's a Vizio OLED? I don't know. It's a funny guess though. All right, let's go to a different game. Let's try something a little bit brighter, shall we? I just realized like we've been testing Xbox for a while. We will definitely try some PlayStation 5 in a second here. Oh, you know what? Like the tags are probably giving it away. I didn't even think about that. The content tags. Okay. And see, here's a comment that is like interesting to me because I have a Q90T. It's actually what I started my channel with. And this goes to like what people prefer in their picture quality. And you're not necessarily wrong, Mr. Robot. This is what you think. This is your opinion. And that is the beauty of this whole thing is we all have eyes and we know what we like. And so you think that the Q90T looks better than a G3, right? And I seen that myself, and I couldn't disagree with you more. I think that the G3 just blows away my Q90T, but that's one of the things where it's like you have a preference for something that the G3 isn't doing for you. And I don't know what that is. Maybe it is SDR brightness for you. Maybe you think that the Q90T can show things a little bit better in that state. I don't know. So again, things are looking washed out. They're not. Let me fix the exposure. Lots of hot takes. Lots of hot takes. About to play some Hot Wheels. I know. Like I said, you get everything on this stream. You get a guy that goes from Elden Ring to Hot Wheels. What's up? Is this content, is it this dramatic in person? It's almost this dramatic in person, what my camera's showing. Sure, yeah. Not as dramatic. I'll say like, it probably looks more like this. It probably looks more like this. Let's get into photo mode here. I like to focus on this ring. I don't know why, it's just so fascinating to me. All right, I think it's time for some PlayStation 5. One sec. And then we will go to some. Oh, actually, let's do Spears and Munsels before we go to PlayStation 5, since I do have it on here. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. He killed the OLED again? What do you mean? It was just winning in Elden Ring. It just goes back to what you like, man. I'm telling you, man. It just goes back to what you like. Want to do 600 nits first? Is that fair? What do you guys want to do? Like, what should we do first? Let's just load this. Let me read chat. I'm gonna do 600 nits first. Somebody was asking, how do you calibrate a TV? You don't. You you tell somebody, please calibrate my TV, and then you pay them money. Let's see. No, there's no such thing as like calibration settings. You can't just get settings for calibration. This is 600 nit content, by the way. Doesn't, you know. I'm just gonna let the stream. I'm just gonna look at the comments on the stream. 273 people. 273 people watching right now. That's a lot. Thank you guys all for being here. I do appreciate that. So when we get to like really high APL scenes, that's where you see the Bravia 9 pull ahead, even in 600 nit content. Crazy, right? Not so crazy though. You'll learn why. I'm not trying to change people's minds here. That's why I showed you Elden Ring, because if I saw the Elden Ring, like, and that's all I played, if all I played is Elden Ring, I would not get a B9. Oh god, I just did it. I called it the B9, the Bravia 9. I don't know where that is. Um, 1 second. Let me adjust something real quick. Since we switched, we are going to double check something. That's why. That's why. So I just went into Spears of Munsell, and for that few seconds that we were watching the Spears of Munsell, the ALLM was not working. So for those 2 minutes that we saw, maybe like a minute of content that we saw, they were still in game mode. So let me put them in professional mode and filmmaker mode. I do apologize for that. Trying to juggle everything sometimes. We all make mistakes. All right. Let's go to 2000 nit content. This thing is like typing. Let's go back to the 600 nit content. And then I'll go to PlayStation. Oh god. And again, the white balance is set for the B9. I did it again, the Bravia 9. Let me check chat. All right, you guys want the PlayStation? Here, let me. Oh, somebody still wants 2,000 nit content. That's right. Sorry about that. Okay, that's all good. So try 2,000 nit content. Look at those OLED blacks. It's dark. They both were black for a second. Exposure, man. Hold on. Yeah, it's hard to like set the exposure for these two TVs, man. It's so hard. And so this is 2,000 nit content. I would show you 4,000 nit, but it can't show you 4,000 nit because it blows everything out. It shows you a little bit, but like horses in the snow, for example, is blown out. I'll show you that for a sec. How bright is this TV? There's like I don't know if there's measurements out there, but I would guess it's around 2,300, 2,500, maybe 2,600. That would be my guess. It would be somewhere in that ballpark range. I think that's how bright the Bravia 9 is. Um, I would say that the Bravia 9 looks a little more washed out on camera right now. It's not like that in person. So I don't know what to tell you about the exposure. I'm trying. Interesting. Like I see some pretty significant banding in this guy there. Oh my god, it's so hard to keep the exposure. If I go too low, the other TV looks like it's super dim. There's a big difference though in brightness. All right, so let's go to 4,000 real quick. I just want to show you, because somebody was asking about showing the horses in snow on 4,000. So I will show you that, and then we'll go to the PlayStation 5. And after the PlayStation 5, we'll go to some demos and I'll do the reveal. If you guys are liking this, please subscribe to the channel. If you're not, make sure you hit the thumbs up. Leave a comment after the stream if I don't answer your question here, and I'll try to take questions too. So here's what I was talking about, like 4,000 nit content, horses in the snow, horses in the no, because I can't see nothing. It's just completely blown out. There's a little bit of detail in the trees, just tiny bit, but other than that, not much. Not much going in there. I do have one movie on my Xbox, and that is Aquaman. I could show that. Not the whole thing, obviously. Oh, show the Starfield test. That's a good idea. All right, sure. It's not fair, but neither is what's going on right now. So, nothing today is fair. I'm just gonna tell you that right now. This is not a fair stream. It's not meant to be a fair stream. It's not meant to be. It's just meant to be talking about the pros and cons of both technology, and I'm also going to talk about like the values, because it may or may not pertain to this. Like I said, this could be a Skyworth OLED. This could be a Vizio OLED. I know some of you guys hate me. I'm sorry. You can't see that. Hold on. Since you can't see it, I'm trying. Yeah, I barely see stars on the Bravia 9. It's faint. It's very faint. So that goes back to like what I was talking about like when we were in Elden Ring, right? In those darker areas. That's the technology. This is a horrible test for LCDs. It's every LCD TV is failing this. Hey, some people don't know. I hope this is fun for people because it's fun for me. Just because I'm reading chat. Man, and it's not blinking like the stars aren't blinking like that. That's just it's a high exposure and the camera's freaking out. So how often do you watch Starfield? You don't. I don't know. But if you watch anything like sci-fi related, this is good information to know, right? Let's go to dots, white dots. Look at all those white dots. It'd be funny if there was a white dot that wasn't showing up on the OLED. I'd be sad. No, that was not even fair. You're right. It's not about being fair. All right, let's try the ramps. Let's look at the magenta tone mapping ramp. This is fun. This is a fun one to look at. Can't even display it. Can't even display it without it looking washed out on camera. The last one. Color brightness and HDR tone mapping. Let's look at white. So it gets up to about 3,000 on the tone mapping for the white, if you guys are curious. OLED goes up to about 800. So I might have just gave it away. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. I'll tell you what it's not. It's not a QD OLED. Because QD OLED smashes this test. I've never seen anything brighter than a QD OLED on the ramps. Yeah, no, the magenta ramp, like, that was kind of surprising too, because I never seen an LCD do it like this. So I was like, oh, that's actually pretty nice. That's actually pretty nice. And then again, it's like really washed out on camera. I can't even show you what it looks like. It's solid. It looks good. All right, let's go to PlayStation 5 real quick. Bear with me. If you got questions, leave them in the chat. Oh my god. Sorry about that. I'm sitting here trying to like plug a HDMI cable into a USB port the whole entire time on the PlayStation 5 because I can't see. But I got it. I figured it out. 1 second. It wants me to set up the PlayStation. Hey, Value Electronics in the chat. What's up, Robert? He says this is fun and your presentation is excellent. As you and many have said, Sony's Bravia 9 looks so much better in person. We have the 75-inch and 65-inch Bravia 9 next to the LG G4 A95L and the Bravia 8 in our showroom. Yeah, if you guys are near Value Electronics, definitely check that out. I'm looking to make my way that way for the shootout this year. Hopefully, if all things go well, I will be at the shootout. And I'm very much looking forward to being there with everybody. All right, let's load up Ghost of Tsushima. I think this game is awesome for HDR, by the way. Just completely awesome. I didn't even realize it had a photo mode until last night. Incredible. So hold on, let me adjust the exposure here. Oh, that's too high. 1250 is fine, I think. See, and then like what I like about the photo mode is you can change things. Here's a clear contrast difference, by the way, since it's like sundown. I would much rather take the OLED in this situation. I don't know what happens to the color though. I'm very confused on that. Looks like my color in the stream just faded away, but I think that might just be the exposure. Let me fix that. I press a button or something. Hold on. No. Yeah, this scene is really hard to capture. But yeah, there's a clear contrast difference. And when I say like when we're in these kind of areas, we'll see like, yeah, now all of a sudden, why does the Bravia 9 look so dark compared to it? You know, it's that's just because of the self-lit pixels. Like that's what it is. It's the technology. When we get into really hard to show areas, you really get to see the strength of the technology. So what's wonderful about HDR is like, you know, it's dark, but it also can get very bright just instantly. Due to the nature of highlights and the way that people grade HDR. That's what I love about HDR is because you could be in a dark room watching really dark content and then all of a sudden just be hit with the blast of light out of nowhere from just an awesome HDR highlight, and it just takes your breath away. And that's kind of like why I really love QD OLED so much, because I think they do it better than anybody when it comes down to it. And G4 throw that in there now too with MLA. But I mean, wow, talk about great HDR presentation, and then you'll throw the Bravia 9 in that as well. But there is going to be like some areas where it does struggle. So let's get into photo mode. That's not photo mode. I think I might have just flashbanged you guys. I'm sorry. So let's get into the photo mode here. Play around with this. I'm gonna start using this game for like demonstration. And then again, you're gonna notice the OLED is blown out because I set the HDR for the Bravia 9. So I'm just letting you guys know that. So that's why you see a big globe on the screen. Actually, it looks like a big globe on both right now because of the exposure. Let me fix that. There's no not fixing that. Yeah, it's just gonna look like a big globe on screen because the exposure is really giving me trouble right now. Hold on. Let's take the gamma down a little bit. See, but then it looks way too dark. So like we get into different brightness levels, but let's see. Time of day. Let's go to like morning. No, it's still on fog, right? So it's clear. Clear weather. It's like at night. It looks like it's at night. I don't know why it looks like it's at night. It's weird. Let's go to sundown again. I think that's really nice. Yeah, the sun doesn't look like that. No. It's just the exposure of the camera right now. So let's go back to this view. Oh, where's my chat at? There they are. Okay. Got a super chat from Leo. Thank you, Leo. KG, be the installer on the Bravia 7, turned up the black equalizer on low in the game bar, made it look twice as bright, looked incredible. The black equalizer is going to raise your black levels. So you're really probably not going to want to do that for the most part. So that's not something I personally would recommend, but if people want to try it out, be my guest. But yeah, let's see what it would do here if I did it. Because this is like really so you can see in the shadows and stuff. You see, it kind of like washes out the colors. I don't think that looks incredible at all. I think it looks, I don't know how to explain it. It makes it look like everything is pastel and fake. So, like that grass turned a very like pastel color. You know what I mean? So, but again, if you like to play that way, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with that at all. It's just personally, it's not something that I would do. But again, if you're somebody who likes vivid mode, and then that kind of setting would be something you like, I bet. It's just not my personal cup of tea. And that goes back to like recommending TVs, right? People are like, should you get a Bravia 9? Should you get an OLED? And I think it really depends on what you like. It comes down to that, but it also comes down to how much can you give up? How much are you willing to sacrifice? And how much difference is there? See, as we get into brighter areas like this, you can see like all of a sudden now the Bravia 9 is the brightest one. And before the OLED was the brightest one, again, because of the pixels. Self-emissive. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting how the two technologies act and perform, right? So, and some, when I say OLED, I don't mean OLED is in a blanket as a whole, right? I'm just talking about this particular OLED, and I'll tell you what it is in a second. But yeah, so going back to that, I'm just trying to show you pros and cons. But thank you for the suggestion, Leo, and thank you for the super chat. You're really awesome. Sony's game mode is great. There doesn't seem to be a drop off in game mode. There's just those issues, but that's more so inherent to LCD technology than it is the Bravia 9. But it is tied to that. Show Spider-Man? I'll show Spider-Man. I got you on Spider-Man. There's nothing wrong. Like, if you prefer it, you prefer it. And that's the thing about preference is if you like it, that's all that matters. That is all that matters. If you like it. Nobody else has to like it. You just like it, and that's all that matters. I'll fire up Spider-Man. I got Spider-Man. Let me read chat here. I'll answer some questions in a bit. Got 277 people watching right now. Thank you guys so much. If you are enjoying the stream, please hit the like button. That would mean a lot to me. Thank you. Here on the loading screen or on the menu screen, like big difference in contrast. Obviously, this is where OLED will excel with a scene like this. Everything is like very bright in terms of the highlights, nice specular highlights, where it does look a bit washed out on the Bravia 9 here. And again, I don't want you to take anything that I'm saying as blanket statements as LCD versus OLED. Please do not. And this is not a fair comparison by any means. Just keep that. It's a fun comparison. I'm having fun with this comparison, and I'm trying to teach people a few things about both technologies as we go along. And I hopefully am. I really hope I am. I'm not trying to make one look worse than the other. Because there's pros and cons to both. There really is. You know, we're gonna get into some YouTube demos and stuff like the fireworks displays. I think is just a great example of two different technologies. So Spider-Man right now is capped. Right now, the OLED is capped at its brightness for this game. Personally, I think I could get it a little bit brighter if I turn on dynamic tone mapping, but not much. Yes, this is a lower level OLED. I'm sure everybody guessed that by now. This is not a fair comparison. All right, this is not a G4. But for it being a lower level OLED, you still see the strengths in the OLED, right? You still see the strengths in the technology, which might make your decision even harder if you're choosing between a Bravia 9 and a G4 or a Bravia 9 and a S95D. And I will have those comparisons for you, don't worry. Those are actually in the works right now. I'm filming a ton of content for them. So um, that's going to be more of a discussion based video than anything else. And I can't wait to do that release. I can't really wait to release those videos. High brightness level TV, a Bravia 9. Oh my gosh, it is fantastic in that area. But so is the G4, and so is the S95D. So do keep that in mind. I would probably say the Bravia 9 is brighter than those, but how often is it brighter than those is the biggest question, because even today you saw the lower level OLED is brighter in certain areas when the backlight has to work, when the backlight really has to work. All right, you guys ready for the big reveal? Or do you want me to wait longer? You want me to wait till we go through real content before I reveal it? You tell me in chat. Or I can tell you now. It's up to you. Is it a Skyworth? Does Skyworth even make OLEDs? Am I just throwing their name out there? Like, I'm sorry, Skyworth. I don't even know. Like, I thought somebody mentioned to me there was a Skyworth OLED before. Is it a Vizio OLED? Is it an A80L? Is it an A80J? Perhaps it's a C4. No? Okay. All right. So this is an LG B4. It's an LG B4. It does a really good job, in my opinion, for the most part. It caps out at around probably about 800 nits brightness, right? So where does this sit in comparison to older OLEDs, you ask? I would say it's probably around the line of like a C1, a CX, something like that. So think of it like that, like a CX, a C1, maybe even a C2, you know, maybe even a C2. Because to me, to me, the B4, it actually, next to a C4, other than like some very high brightness scenes, for some reason, it performed a little bit better than the C4. I don't know why, but it did. Gaming brightness wise, the B4 and the C4 are almost identical. Wow, a B4. Well, you know, you guys wanted to see the B9 versus another BTV, right? So B4 versus B9, that's what you get. KG's trolling. I'm not trying to troll. I promise. I just wanted to teach some lessons and teach some people about the technology because there's a lot of people that really don't understand the strengths and the weaknesses here. 800 nits is what the C3 hit. Yeah. So it's probably along the lines of a C3 even maybe. But the C3 does have this like that brightness booster max, right? Like or whatever they call it. And then it is also marketed as the Evo panel. The B4 is not marketed that way. But there's areas where the B4 actually will beat the C4. So, and I think you guys saw that, right? When the B4 was up against the S90D and the C4, you were kind of surprised at how good the B4 did in that comparison too. Awesome comparison. Thank you. Hey, I thank you. I'm glad you like it. I was wondering if people are gonna be mad at me for for making it the B4. Yeah, the brightness difference was probably a big giveaway for some people. Some people said they knew it was a B series. I'm gonna play some YouTube content now. I think that's it for the PlayStation 5. So I'm gonna play some YouTube content, go through some questions, and then we'll wrap. But let's see how long I got left. So we've been going for an hour and 37 minutes. I got time. We're good. I am using my Blackmagic camera right now. How is it doing? Do you guys think this looks good? Does my camera look good right now? Because I'm using the Blackmagic camera right now. It does have a fan and it is plugged in. So nothing bad can go wrong with this experience. Like I could stream for 8 hours if I wanted to and it wouldn't go out. So unless my internet went out or something, right? Before and after. It's funny. Fair, thank you for the super chat. He says, KG, what are the chances of you making a comparison video stream of the B9 versus the G4? So I'm not going to do a stream of this because I'm already filming the comparison. I don't want to do two different videos because it will take away from the kind of search results when people search B9 versus G4. I really don't want them to see a 3-hour stream because that turns off a lot of people. So I am keeping those big comparisons for their own dedicated video. I hope you guys do understand that. Um, but other than that, like yeah, you should be expecting them. They are in the works. And thank you for the super chat. I really appreciate it. But yeah, it is coming. Don't worry. Yeah, and I don't want this to cause any fights either. It's not like about OLED versus LCD. It's just about showing you how the technology is. Because there is times where the B4 was actually beating the B9. Think about that. Look how much the B4 costs. Look how much the B3 cost at Black Friday last year. Look at what the B3 costs right now. So, like just think about a few things. Like there's pros and cons to every TV. Every TV is not going to be able to do everything perfectly. So as great as the Bravia 9 is, it does have its faults. So I hopefully did show you some of the cracks that the Bravia 9 does have. But the Bravia 9 is still a fantastic TV despite those cracks. If you can live with those cracks, I can recommend the TV. It's just a harder conversation if you are coming from an OLED, especially if you're coming from a QD OLED or a really bright, let's say like MLA based OLED like a G3. All right, let me put on those demos for you. 1 second. Whoa, where's my thing? All right, let's go to some interesting demos. I will say this, like, okay, I do not like one thing about Google OS interfaces. Oh my God, is it hard to sync your Apple TV to make your remote control the Apple TV? How easy it is on an LG, how easy it is on a Samsung to do. It's crazy. Like, I could just go to manage settings here, switch this, let's delete settings. Start setting. Because I set it up one time and it worked, and then like I have so much time, like trouble setting it up another time. Does anybody else struggle with this? You guys own a Google OS like interface TV? You have trouble with this? Or is it just me? I know like everybody has HDMI CEC issues everywhere. What the heck just happened? Decline, I guess. All right. I just wanted to like rant. Let me set up the demos here. You guys had that problem, right? Can't be the only ones. I can't be the only one. Yeah, text. I like this demo. Let me pause it to make sure I can show really good exposure here. So it's going to be noisy, but that's okay because I do want to just kind of show you a few things with the demo and in mind and stuff. And let me double check that we are switched out of game mode. Sometimes it doesn't auto switch. Okay, we're good there. And we're good. So, do you guys like this demo? I love this demo. I don't know if you've ever ran this demo. It's the LG chess demo. Now, this demo is so awesome on just about every TV. But LCDs do struggle with this, but really fantastic job for an LCD. Which TV is which? You can't tell? I should probably put that up now, huh? Let me do that. Let me put them up now. Oh God. Again, it's not meant to be a fair comparison. It's just you know, for fun. I can already see the hate comments though. It's funny. I can't wait. Should we just say mini LED so people know? I saw somebody say, "What do you think of the B7?" I'm hearing really good things about it. Like, I'm hearing really good things about it. Exposure's too high. Yeah, it is. Sorry about that. B4 still have DTM on? No. Does not. All right, let's switch the content to a different video. What happened to my overlays? I can't see you. Okay, there we go. That's annoying. Let's put that down here then. Jennifer Gala demo. Shout out to Jennifer Gala. Makes awesome content. See, look, this looks washed out, but it's not, I promise. Let me fix this. Adjust the exposure for this one. Scene here. It's a little bit better. It's about as good as I'll get, probably. Let's see, like, it looks like the LG is crushing, but it's not. I promise. It's just the exposure. So, like, it's so hard to show the significant brightness differences on TVs, which is like, you should probably film these separately when you compare them, which is what I'm doing with a lot of my comparisons when it comes down to OLED versus LCD. Otherwise, it's going to look like this. And in a lot of scenes, it won't look this dramatic, but it doesn't show anything like as far as like their strength. It gets lost in like, oh, this one's brighter than the other. So this goes down to like how powerful is the TV. B4 on its own is a good TV. It's nice, but it caps, right? There's a cap. It hits, doesn't necessarily get to the same level. Man, this is not. This is all right. Let's try a different demo. This is not looking pretty. Let's try a different demo. If you wonder what that buzz was, it's just my Apple TV connected to my phone trying to get me to type stuff. Let's try some LG OLED demos. Actually, no, let's try some Sony demos. I like the Sony demos a lot. Or we could stay neutral. Let's stay neutral. Let's just use Samsung demos. Should we put it on dynamic tone mapping? Should we put it in vivid mode or something? Here, let's put it. I don't know, man. Let's show some different modes for the demos. Since we were showing Filmmaker all day, let's show like standard or something. Let's do that. Let's try standard modes. Somebody was asking about that earlier, so let's be fair and show some different modes. Why not? After all, this is not a serious stream anyway. This is just fun. We're just having fun. So let's swap them all into their standard modes. If you're coming in late, you missed the big reveal. There's not a mystery anymore. It's not about being fair. It's about being fun. It's my tagline. I don't know. So they're in standard mode now. Oh, jeez. I thought that was going to be a little bit better, but... Alright. Sony Japan would be good. Yeah, I'm gonna play that one. That's a good idea. This is a good stream for people that are coming from, say, like a older C series OLED, and they're like, "Oh, I just really want a brighter TV overall." Well, the Bravia 9 could be that for you, but it could also be a G4 S95D because yes, the G4 and the S95D do look significantly this different. We have shown it on stream. I have shown the B4 with the G4, I believe, didn't I? I can't remember anymore. I did so many streams at this point. But yeah, there is that difference. This is like you get what you pay for. You are seriously getting what you pay for in terms of brightness um out of TVs. But not only do you get brightness, you don't just get this blind uncontrolled brightness. You still get like processing and things like that, right? It's not just about ticking the box on brightness measurements. It's not. With the S95D, the G4, the Bravia 9, you could even go S95C, you could even go G3. Like those are premium models. You could even go S90C in there. You could even go S90D in there if you want to. Premium, right? But I would say S95D is more separating than the S90D is. So like that's what I would say like more would be the S95D. It looks like the Sony's washed out again because of the exposure. So let's lower that. People are asking about colors for the Bravia 9. Awesome. Really good colors overall. The Bravia 9 has good black levels. It does for a mini LED TV. It absolutely does. It has incredible black levels. It is the best mini LED TV I've ever seen. It's the best LCD TV period I've ever seen. The backlight control is nuts. You do still see black bars blooming though. You do still see blooming in black bars if you watch movies. That is something that I notice quite a bit. Whether or not that's going to be distracting to you is another case. God, this one is not close, is it? I'm trying like the B4 is trying. It's trying so hard to keep up, but it's just not. It's just not. It doesn't look washed out. Yeah, because I dropped the exposure. It did look washed out for a second. I fixed it. Colors look phenomenal. Yeah, the first time I tried to show this demo, I was in 709. But we fixed that. That never happened. You might want to try to put the B9 back into pro mode. Yeah. You want to? Oh, no, I'm not mixing modes. We're not doing that. If we're going to put one into pro mode, we got to put the other one in the filmmaker mode. I can't confuse you guys. I can't do it. So that smoke looks washed out. It is more pure pink. God. Standard is not a good way to compare it, so let's not do standard. Yeah, you're right. This is not working. This isn't doing the B4 any favors. Alright, fine. We'll go back. Let's swap them back, man. Nope, not game optimizer. Cinema. Filmmaker. Let's turn dynamic tone mapping on. Okay, professional mode helps a little. Dynamic tone mapping is now on. just to give it a chance. All right, should I swap it for the C4? I could do that. You want me to swap it for the C4? I'll swap it for a C4. We could do that right now. Give me a second. I'll swap it for a C4. I'm gonna take this off the screen real quick. So I cut my camera in a kind of fancy way. So I can probably swap my C4 while still playing demos on the B9. So let me run like a line of demos that will hold for a second. I'll expose for the B4. We're gonna turn off the B9. Goodbye B9. Where you at? That's the B9. There. Goodbye B9. All right. Not the B9. Sorry, the B4. Let me go plug in the C4. I'm gonna try to put it in the same exact location. I'm not swapping it for the G4. That has to be its own comparison. Oh my god. It's heavy. Oh no. Too tall. Gonna have to be that way. Yes. Where's the other controller at? Oh, it's over here. I don't want OLED. Jeez, this is gonna be interesting because like now the C4 is gonna be a little closer to the camera, and I think my whole entire cutouts are all gonna be messed up, but we'll have to adjust that. Sorry about the wait. I didn't think I was gonna do that. So, but you guys asked for it, you get it. C4 it is. You literally tried to watch on a Vizio OLED and even the OLED bloomed. And oh wait, no, old. I thought you said Vizio OLED. All right, Vizio E series, and even the OLED bloomed. That's crazy, man. That means that Vizio, that Vizio is struggling. That one's struggling. What are you doing with the Vizio E series? Come on, Andrew. All right, so yeah, I knew it. It was gonna look weird. Oh god. All right, let's see. I'll fix this. Hold on. There's nothing I can do, huh? Is there nothing I could do to fix that? It's just gonna be cut off a little bit. Let me try one thing. It kind of worked. I'll adjust the focus. If you're wondering how they're set up, it's like this. You see? And I just mirrored them. So I don't have two C4s, but it looks like I do. So I just mirrored them so that they're side by side because they're really sitting above each other. And I have the camera aimed at the B9 so it doesn't bloom off angle. Otherwise, it'd be like really unfair to the B9. It doesn't matter for the OLED because it's good at any angle. Where mini LED, you can't really put that at an angle up or down or left or right because then you'll get off angle blooming. Now, let's make sure this is set up correctly. I don't know if I set up HDMI 4 yet. C4 is extremely bright, yes. Not extremely bright, but it's close to the S90D in terms of brightness. So it'll be better. If they look like, you know, there's a little bit of a barrel distortion, sorry, that is the lens. So we got that going on there. This is a lot fairer. Now my camera is gonna actually be able to show some good exposure, and one's not gonna look like extremely blown out and like losing color while the other one looks extremely dark. So yeah, C4 has the B4 in brightness, but it actually loses to the B4 in like some gradation. It actually loses to the B4 in low luminance, certain like low luminance things. Like you'll see a lot of flashing artifacts on the C4, where on the B4 you won't. Going in and out of game mode, you lose color brightness on the C4. On the B4, you don't. Much better, right? Yep. Oh, there's Moray. that? Hold on. That's not supposed to happen at all. Let me fix that. I think I fixed it. C4 is not 2000 nits, no. It's probably about 1000 nits, I would guess. It's a pretty great stream, KGA. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm having fun with it. Why my Xbox just turned on by itself? That's pretty crazy. Did you guys play X Defiant yet on Xbox? I'm downloading it. Somebody said to download it. Let me scroll up through chat. I might have missed something. I know there was a comment from Robert that I wanted to respond to. Okay. Value Electronics says, let's support KG. Just hit the like button. Appreciate that. I appreciate that. Let's also share this video and subscribe to Tech with KG. I appreciate that, Robert. Thank you for showing love. That means a lot, man. It means a lot. I actually got the chance to meet Robert at CES 2023, and it was great conversations, man. Robert knows so much about TV technology. I could listen to him talk about TV technology literally just all day. All day. It's great hearing about it. Oh man. Ooh, hold up. This is not a good demo for the Bravia 9. Let me show you that. That was crazy. What the heck? My Apple TV is blocked or something? Oh, this is not set up. One sec. Now I gotta set this up. But just look how easy it is to set this up. Like I just go to OTT, Apple. That's it. Why can't Google OS be this easy to set up my Apple TV remote? It's supposed to just instantly work, right? But it doesn't. Let's be real. Like it really doesn't most of the time. Frustrating. It's frustrating. All right, let's go back to that because the sparklers actually you could see a great amount of difference there. And I don't know if this is in the scene or what, but I really do want to like raise the exposure here to double check. Yeah, here. That was a pretty interesting difference. Can't really tell. Whoa. That doesn't even like translate. How come it's not showing? Did my stream freeze? Did I break it? Oh, you know what? The gamma's up. I'm gonna switch into RAW real quick so you can see what's going on in the scene. So you can kind of see what's going on in the scene a little bit. So we are in RAW. Definitely, this is a tough test for a mini LED. This kind of sparklers going back and forth like this, moving objects. You know, it's very tough. This is on medium local dimming right now. By default, that's what the professional mode is. I just wanted to show you that real quick. Oh God. Color, where'd you go? So you go too high exposure, you lose color on cameras, right? So it's a tightrope, man. With a balancing act that we got to go through with these cameras. scroll through chat. Low bloom but popping highlights. Yeah. Interesting, the C4 looks kind of cold. It only probably looks that way because the C4 tends to look a little bit green. Like skin tones on the C4 are green a little bit. Like that's kind of my thing. Like you'll see that skin tones green. There's some color casts or gray backgrounds sometimes look a little bit green, right? I think the G4 had this last year. Sorry, the G3 had this as well last year. And that was a big difference. As another example, I do see some blooming here. But it does a really good job. Better than a lot of mini LEDs out there. So like I'll occasionally raise the gamma so you can see that A, the C4 is not crushing, and B, just in case you want to see like some of the troublesome areas. It's important to like really explain how cameras are gonna work, especially my camera. Like it's you can't show everything, unfortunately. And sometimes it might look like things are crushing, things are looking blown out. And I've seen a lot of people in comments of past videos that I made and say like, why is this TV blown out? Like this TV blows out highlights, and it's like, nah, actually that was my camera. There's nothing I could have did there, you know. And it's hard to explain that to everybody who comments, and that's the unfortunate part about comparisons is that you don't always see why it's doing what it's doing. You don't know if it's the camera or actually the TV doing it. A lot of times it's not the TV doing it unless it's a very high graded content where the TV can't display that brightness level. Like if it's not capable of showing a certain brightness level, then it'll either clip or tone map. If it can't tone map, then it'll just clip. Oh, we already seen that demo, huh? There's a contrast difference here on these demos. But I don't think that you'll necessarily hate the contrast of the Bravia 9. It's just if you are used to OLED, you know, maybe you will notice like, hey, this is not quite OLED contrast. So you might get thrown off by that. But I do think that there's enough here that can trick your eyes into like being okay with it. I've got the question, like a lot of people are saying, like you get a 77-inch G4 or an 85-inch Bravia 9, and I think that's a very fair conversation to be had. Like I think that's a very fair conversation to be had, because they are the same price. Correct me if I'm wrong. So with that in mind, which one do you go with? Yeah, and when I'm talking about contrast, like I'm talking about the contrast advantage that OLED has with the whole self-emissive display. It being a self-emissive display, it just naturally has that. By science, it has that advantage, right? So there's that. It's like high APL scenes where you do see something like a C4, for example, kind of get lost. Now the G4 does these scenes a lot better than the C4. And so that would be a fair comparison, but we're not doing a fair comparison here. I'm just bringing out some of the TVs that I have near me. The G4 is behind me, but I'm not going to bring that in because we're making a video later on about that, and I'm very excited to do that. Everything is mostly filmed. I just have to edit it. So the S95D is out the door. That's gone already. I already filmed that comparison. So that has to be edited already. Compare SDR sports. You know, any sports content that's not copywritten? Because I can't really show copyright content, unfortunately. I can tell you though, if you're talking about like what wins in SDR brightness, it's definitely the Bravia 9. Like if you're all about just getting the best SDR brightness, just get a Bravia 9 for that. Darko, this is not true. OLED has not reached its limit. The only reason that Sony's flagship is a mini LED this year is because they carried over the A95L. That's really it. And A95L is still technically their flagship. Like that's still their top of the line. Otherwise, you would see the Bravia 9 be called like the Bravia 100. But it's the XR90 because it sits right under the 95. It's pretty interesting how they did that. But it is intentional how they did that, I believe. Because they do really want to push the A95L still. Play some random high school football games. It's not a bad idea. You never know. Some of that stuff is copyright. Like they throw copyright strikes on you for anything. Like LG can mess around and copyright me. Hopefully they don't. Please don't. Please don't, LG. I'm just showing your TV. I said really good things about the G4 LG, so do you know? Can you play the GTA 6 trailer? I don't know. I don't know if I could play game trailers. It's weird. I can play games, but like game trailers are kind of like a gray area. Somebody told me one time that I can't. Is zero marketing done for the A95L, which is weird. Yeah. There's a little bit of marketing, but I get what you're saying. This is another example of like this demo shows mini LED versus OLED, and I think that the Bravia 9 sort of struggles in this demo. When it comes to these like mid contrast level scenes, when it comes to, I don't even know how to explain it. Something about being in shadowy areas of a forest, there's always this disadvantage I see. Like I saw that same sort of scene like in Elden Ring, except for this is actually like realistic filming. I don't know what it is. It's like foggy. When things get foggy, when things get kind of hazy, it's weird. It's kind of hard to explain. I don't know how to explain it. How do I explain it? The contrast is definitely king here. Like this scene. Let me go back to that. Oh, I gotta reset this. Apple TV crashed. One sec. I was saying before the thing crashed. I'm only gonna go a little bit longer. But I was saying before everything crashed, we are looking at this LG demo, and there's a scene that really demonstrates like a pure difference in contrast level. So it's stuff like that for me personally. Like, I've been on the fence about getting an 85-inch Bravia 9. I'm so on the fence about it because I could see it. I could see it. I could see me enjoying it, loving it. But there's this feeling in the back of my mind that I'll be missing the contrast. And I can't shake that feeling. But I don't think a lot of people are going to feel that way. It's just me personally because I'm used to OLED. And what I seen from the S95D, what I seen from the G4, I'm used to that. Like, it's hard to adjust after that. Yeah, thanks, Robert. He says, correct KG, as is everything you have said. Sony's flagship is still the A95L Master Series QD OLED TV. The new 2024 Bravia 9 is Sony's flagship mini LED, and as we all know, it's a very big upgrade. Yep. Yeah, it's a huge upgrade. Yeah, thanks Robert for helping me clarify that. Every time I like rewind, sometimes the Apple TV wants to crash, but here's like a really good example of contrast. I don't know, hopefully you can see this on stream. Let's see. One sec, let me fix this. Exposure is not wanting to cooperate here. Yeah, there's just like a definition difference here. Like the C4 looks three-dimensional. The Bravia 9 here looks flat to me. And so when I'm looking at these two, this is like what's taking me off that fence. It's like, okay, maybe you wouldn't enjoy a 85-inch Bravia 9. So it's a personal dilemma for me. And I'm kind of like fighting with that. But yeah, there's scenes though that the Bravia 9 does that OLED can't do. Like, there's some crazy high APL scenes that will blow your mind when you see them. Oh, I don't care what OLED it is, it's not doing it. So, like, there's strengths and weaknesses to both. Yeah, and I would agree with this. Bravia 9 has near OLED blacks with significantly higher luminance capability. The big upgrade is Sony's second generation backlight master drive. Yeah, like when compared to something like the Bravia 7, that's a great TV and a lot of people are saying great things about it. But like this new backlight system is, I've never seen anything like this for mini LED. So for mini LED to get as close as it is to OLED, that's impressive. But contrast wise, it's still not matching OLED for me personally. But that's okay. Like, it doesn't have to match it. For some people, getting close to it is good enough because there is some upsides to owning an LCD TV. Of course, you won't be pausing your screen on a pine cone that much, but that is just trying to show you the difference in contrast levels. Like that whole demo, I saw a big contrast difference because it is that detailed contrast. It's what creates depth. It's what, like when people talk about the 3D pop, that is all created from the self-emissive pixels. That is all created from that. That's what you get. That's how you get the 3D pop. And then when you combine brightness with it, it gets even better, which is why like the G4 is kind of like a really strong recommendation right now. It really is. I like it a lot. I need a dedicated cameraman. Cypher, thank you for the super chat. Thank you, KG. No hate. I was only trying to bring reason where I saw some gaps. You do great work. Hey, I didn't take any offense to anything. I love criticism, especially if it's gonna help make things better. So, like, don't worry about it. You're good, man. This is not showing the colors as good as I would like because the exposure is not set correctly. And then we got a here. Let's try the Las Vegas demo for Sony. Let me adjust the exposure here. Sort of a stress test, I guess. I think that the Bravia 9 did this really well. Really well. So I will raise the exposure pretty high here. Just keep that in mind. Oh, that's too high. I might even put it in log mode, honestly. I just really wanted to show people a couple of things about the TVs. You can see where I even cut them. It's funny. Let's take that down a little. Yeah, so this is just to kind of show you how it finds and clamps down on areas that otherwise would be like really bad on some mini LED TVs. So like if there's any blooming, you definitely will see it, right? Like so this is like a pure stress test. Craig, thank you for the super chat. KG, did you measure the thickness height of the B9 legs? Are you talking about the footprint of them? I think that Sony has that online. So if you're looking for that, Sony should have all of that information on their website. And you can position them in different locations. So by default, they have like 4 different configurations. I went with the weird duck feet route. Like people do not like the way I set up the Bravia 9, and I didn't do a good enough job at mentioning that there's multiple stand positions. This is just designed to make the Bravia. I'm not trying to. I'm trying to show you how good the Bravia 9 is. Like that's what I'm trying to show you how good. That's what a lot of people think, that I'm trying to make it look bad here. I'm not. This is actually designed to make it look good. Like look how close it gets to like not showing you blooming on such a stress test. Like wow, this is a stress test if I've ever seen one. And I've seen many LEDs fall apart on this. So yes. And this is high ISO. Like I do not see it this bad, okay? I'm just trying to show you where it's coming from. There. We'll put the log back on. I get it looks bad, all right. That's fair. Let me write stress tests so that like people know. You're right. It's all about how like people come into the stream mid like, oh god, this is terrible. I get it. I get it. I get it. I don't want the more expensive TV to look bad. That doesn't do anything for me. Like at the end of the day, like I do want people to check out this TV if they want it. But I also do want to show you a realistic look, you know? Like you can see these things. You can. Oh, actually, I like that demo. Dang it. I should have let that play. All right. Let's put that demo on, actually. Let's put it back. Let's put the gamma back. Sorry about that. Let's try this one. Craig, thank you for the super chat. How high have I have to build up to get over the leg? Are you saying like your sound bar? If you are, I think the sound bars that Sony designs can actually sit up above them. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. There's actually some documentation out there with that information on it, and also on Sony's website, you will see information on this. If you could be a little more specific on what you mean, I'll try to get answers for you. But yeah, thank you for the super chat. And wow, Robert, thank you so much. That is a huge super chat. You didn't have to do that, but I really do appreciate it. He says, just a token to say thank you for your very informative video presentations and thank you for your kind words to me on your channel. Hey, Robert, that means a lot, man. Thank you. That's really cool. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Wow. Kind of speechless on that one. That's a really nice gesture. Let me look through chat, see if I missed anything. So yeah, if you have any clarifications on that stand, like I do think they have the height of how big the legs are, but I will measure it afterwards in the tall position just to let you know exactly what my measurements are. But I think that is on Sony's website. Every super chat is very excellent. I agree. Every time anybody takes their time to do that, I tell them they don't have to do that. It is totally unnecessary. I answer questions no matter what. Um, Everybody in chat knows that I answer everybody's question as much as possible when I can. And then we even have Q&A sessions like right at the end that I hold on to the very end, asking everybody like, "Hey, did I miss your question? If not, put it in the comments. And if I didn't get their question, I will definitely leave a comment." So, um, yeah, every super chat is definitely appreciated, no matter what. Is there a lot of trolls going on? I'm sorry. I don't know if we have mods right now. I thought I had high def as a mod. Nobody's getting too out of line though, right? Like I think for the most part this has been a pretty tame chat. Unfortunately, it's hard to juggle like the stream, getting content on, making sure the exposure is right, checking comments and all that. If somebody's trolling, just try your best to ignore them. You want to see what contrast enhancer looks like? What could be a way I could show that on professional mode and be equal on the LG? Let me think. I don't like mixing it too much. I guess I could take stress test off the screen. It's not a stress test anymore. This is weird. This is like an AI video game. I don't know where Jennifer finds this stuff, but she has such awesome content. I kind of want to like play this game, but at the same time, it also looks like a kind of a bad game. I don't know. But apparently AI made this game. As I'm moving this, and you can see the cursor. LG, please make new remotes. Please make new remotes. Yeah, B9 looks good here. Jennifer makes really high APL content, like super high APL content. And colors are looking really washed out, unfortunately, because of exposure again. I need like a dedicated cameraman, dude, I swear. Somebody was asking earlier, is the C4 good? Yes, the C4 is pretty good. I would say like the biggest issue with the C4 that I have is that the skin tones, they tend to look a little bit off. Like people look like they're sick, kind of. Like you get a little bit of green tone to the skin tones, and then almost looks like the walls are painted green in some gray areas. So that's like one of the biggest things. Um, Darko, I'm gonna ask you to stop trolling, please. Like I don't know if you're fighting with people, but let's just try to keep positive as much as possible. You guys could like debate, but you don't have to argue and be mean to each other for sure. It's all about keeping things fun here. Like this isn't serious, right? If this was serious, I'd put the B9 against the G4, the S95D, but like I put it against the B4. So think about that. Was that on the content? It was like a black dot. I think that was the camera lens. Okay, it was. I was like, is that the camera lens that she was filming with, or the person was filming with that she got the content from? That threw me off, man. C4 is very similar to G2. Yeah, like I think Classy said that it measured around the same as a G2. It does show temporary image retention though. Like yeah, pretty noticeable temporary image retention. So there is that. KG, I think you're doing a great job. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm having fun. This is good times for me. Have a great night. I should stream. Like I really want to stream more often because it is fun to talk to people on the comments and all the viewers. You guys are all great, man. Like interaction is so underrated. Especially like if you find a community that you really enjoy, then like participate in it and don't let the bad people like scare you away. Like last couple years, like AVS forums, for example, I used to post on that a lot. And then I let a few trolls, I let a few like really toxic, negative people scare me away. And just, I was like, I don't want to deal with that. But after I started blocking people and just ignoring them, and I just realized there's so many great people on that forum. So, like, I'm not going to discredit that forum for, the people that are there. The people there are great. I just wish it was a little bit more less toxic. That's unfortunate it's that way, but we can block people, so that's the great thing about it. But I met a lot of you guys on AVS forum. Like heck, man, I met Classy on AVS forums. If it wasn't for AVS forums, I wouldn't be friends with Classy. So there's that. And when I started this channel, I didn't know that I was gonna review TVs. I was just doing a review on the Q90T, and so many people were positive, and I just loved everybody's energy. And it's like, man, this is cool. Like, I could see myself doing this, and you guys thankfully gave me a platform, and I'm so grateful for that. So I'm so grateful for that. So thank you. And I'm very passionate about this. Like, what you guys don't know is that I actually do a lot of this off stream sometimes. I'll just sit here and evaluate content, evaluate different TVs in my own way. And I find it fun. Like, I find it very interesting. I love what I do. Like, I'm obsessed with what I do. So, yeah, find something like you're passionate about and do it, because this this is so fun for me. And the fact that I can consider this a job is so awesome. So I'm not just saying that. I just thank you guys so much. You do give me so much opportunity, and a platform to do this on. It's great. Yeah, and I don't think it's about anybody winning an opinion. Like, I think my biggest message with this stream is what what do you like to watch? How do you like to watch? And then find your answer within that. Because if you're somebody who likes vivid mode on SDR, for example, well, then that answer is a little bit more clear. That's easier to point you into the direction of something like a Bravia 9, for example, right? Like, that's an automatic answer. But when you get into like, oh, I watch a lot of reference content, that's when you start to get into like some more gray area, because still within people watching reference content, they still do have what a preference of what they like. Even though they're watching reference content, they still have aspects of picture quality that they like more than others, right? Some people like when there's high APL scenes that are gonna really make them say, wow. Some people like really bright highlights. Some people like low specular highlights, bright specular highlights, like tiny ones. And so it really just depends on what people like. And that's all, like, what it comes down to for me personally is is that. Let me go to my demos here. One sec. Let me look through chat. Fulfilled white luminance? I don't know that answer. One of the things that I do not do is use like meters and any sort of tools or anything like that to evaluate. I leave that up to the professionals in terms of calibrators and things like that. So I consider myself just a reviewer. Really, that's it. And I try to look at it how I want to watch, and I review it like that. And if people take my reviews, you know, as maybe they watch TV the same way, then that's cool. So let's go to Jennifer Gala, because I did want to put on the Elements demo. That one's nice. One sec. I'll get the content back on the screen. Wow. Where is it? Yeah, and a big shout out to Classy Tech Calibrations because I can't overstate how much he has taught me about TV technology since we've been friends. So, yeah, big thank you. Like, he's taught me so much. He's taught me a ton. All right, here's the Elements demo. Let me make sure the exposure is set right. All right, please keep it civil in chat or I will have to start banning people. I don't like using that word, but it will happen. Ford, I appreciate that. You're an expert just short of being a calibrator. I really do appreciate that. That means a lot because often I do see like people say you have to be a calibrator to review TVs, and I'm like, you don't though. Like, you really don't. Like, you just review them. Nobody's calibrating TVs before they review them. Like, I mean, like nobody's calibrating TVs before they watch them in the real world. There are some that do, right? But those are the people that want true reference accuracy, and that's the only way you can achieve that, which is why I say reach out to somebody like Classy Tech Calibrations when you want that reference accuracy. Don't rely on TV manufacturers to give it to you because that's not true reference accuracy. If you want that true reference accuracy, reach out to a real calibrator. Reach out to Value Electronics with D Nice, Dwayne Davis, like very great professionals, you know. So reach out to people like that if you want real reference capability out of your TV. Don't rely on TV manufacturers to give it to you because they oftentimes like they're really good out of the box, but that's not true reference until you actually get it calibrated. But for what I do, I think that's what a lot of people will do with their TV. Um, and maybe not what the majority of what people will do with their TV. That's why I do try to show you as many modes as I can possibly show you um, to demonstrate. And I realize it looks a little washed out. Let me fix that. Let me fix that. Yeah, it's just really important to clarify that. Like I never think that I'm doing anything super special in regards to showing you what you could get from a reference calibration or something like. I've never went that route. Classy's more of that kind of guy. You know, one thing I'm really looking forward to hopefully going to the shootout this year to meet more people um like Dwayne Davis. Hopefully he is there because I've never actually got to meet him in person, but you know, seems like a really great guy, and everybody that I know that's talked to him makes him seem like a really good dude. So I'm pretty sure I will be able to interact with him pretty easily. I've actually never met Classy in person, so that's going to be pretty cool to finally do that. Only people I've met in person, I've met Robert, I've met Brian, I've met Brandon, I've met Techno Dad, I've met FOMO. I might be leaving somebody out. I feel bad if I do. I've met Caleb. I've met David Katzmeyer. That was pretty cool. Who else? Oh man, I'm probably leaving so many people out. I'm blanking right now. I'm blanking. Unfortunately, didn't get to meet TKK. He was in Vegas when I was in Vegas. We just never lined up. I thought he was gonna stay till like the actual convention day, and I was gonna link up with him then. But communication got crossed, and he was actually leaving on that day, so that sucked. Didn't get a chance to meet TKK, but we will meet this year at CES. Next year at CES. I didn't get a chance to. I didn't see Vincent. No. Nah, I didn't meet Vincent. Andrew says you can't be calibrated out of the box. No way to predict the final viewing conditions for the TV set. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's why if anybody really wants reference calibration, you gotta reach out to one of those calibrators. You can't buy settings. I'm sorry, guys. You just can't do it. I'll give you free settings. They're not gonna be good though, but I'll give you them. I'll give you them. I like my settings personally, but really they're sort of basic. You know, they're sort of basic adjustments, and that's it. But a lot of people like give me really positive feedback on my settings. Like, hey, like I actually like the way my TV pops now. Thanks. I'm like, cool. That's all I want. I know we are missing Panasonic. It is sad. Like we're missing Panasonic and Philips. I don't know how much Philips is like a big deal, but like some people say positive things about Philips. But Panasonic is the one that like, yeah, I see them at CES, but that's it. Yeah, at times exposure is gonna be off. There's nothing I can do about it. KG, your settings for my 80K and 95 LR solid. Thank you. Yeah, that I love those, man. Something about advanced contrast enhancer, and I'll even like show it to you really quickly on the Bravia 9, but something about advanced contrast enhancer on Sony's I love. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I will use this sometimes. So, like, see, we'll just pop that on there. And that's what I was showing you just a second ago. Like, I love it. Turn it off, though. So, one thing I did notice yesterday is when I was scrolling through, sorry, we are in standard still on both TVs. I was like, why is it on? That's why it was on. So yeah, there's something about this though that I like. I didn't even realize we were in standards though. Yep, we are still in standard for both TVs. It's fine. It's whatever. Let me put that back on the thing there. But yeah, as long as they're in the same modes, right? That's all that matters. Let's not talk about other creators negatively, even if you know, just let's not talk about them. Nobody deserves that. Everybody has their own like way of doing things, right? Oh, back to professional. Sure. Let's do it. Back to professional. Let me put a different demo on real quick. What if we did Vivid? Should we do Vivid? Some people said Vivid, so we'll go back to professional and then we'll do vivid. Or we'll do vivid and then we'll go back to professional. It'll be a nice contrast. Vivid. It's blind people. It's a good way to blind people. What demo can blind people? Probably like a Samsung demo, huh? I don't discriminate. If you watch in Vivid, that's cool. Yeah, that's what every TV in Best Buy is in. Facts. I remember when I worked at Best Buy, that was kind of wild seeing the QLEDs next to the OLEDs in Vivid because it was like, man, you're gonna sell a lot of QLEDs like this, and they did. But they also sold a lot of OLEDs because like that contrast difference was unreal at the time. That's what actually convinced me to buy an OLED. Is like every time I went to Best Buy to go to work, I was like, I really want an OLED. So I got an OLED. It was like my first paycheck. That's what I got. That was what year was that? That was like the LG B7 C7 year. That's the first OLED that I got. Was the 7 series. Too much green clipping details. Oh my god, hold up. I'm sorry, that was sort of loud, but my god, when this is not the camera clipping, by the way. This was just like the LG turning pure white right there. Hold on. That was crazy. That threw me off, man. I was like, that's just white for a second there. I'm gonna pause it right on that. Right here. Look at that. I know it's vivid mode, but still. Where'd the color go? Like, let's see what happens if we switch it back to like filmmaker mode real quick. Alright, so we get some color back. See filmmaker mode. Alright, it's actually a really good example to maybe show you professional, see if I can get some color back. So if we go to the tone mapping here, right? Click on professional. And then go to 4000. Take it down a little bit. You get a little bit of color back, but not much. Not much. Still just, this is just turning it white. Dang. That's crazy. Let's go back to the, wow. Yeah, that's not the camera. That's like just turning white. It's wild. AB, thank you for the super chat. He says, I'm late to the stream. Did you mention the Bravia cam yet? That's the important part you always miss. Yeah, shout out to the Bravia cam. You actually get it for free when you order the Bravia 9 through Sony. So if you want a free Bravia cam, other than the A95L, you can order the Bravia 9 through Sony's website and you get a free Bravia cam. So shout out to the Bravia cam. Shout out to you, AB, for always mentioning the Bravia cam. Man, that clipping was crazy, right? It was like, it was just white. Yeah, QD OLED would do it. QD OLED wouldn't be white. Yeah, you're right. QD OLED would be better colors than the Bravia 9. No doubt. Yes, you're right. You're correct on that. Currently, there's nothing that is better color-wise than QD OLED. So, I think that's why a lot of people will argue the fact that QD OLED is technically the best technology out there, because it's true. What's the Bravia cam? It's a camera accessory. It's like a webcam, but it's also something that can detect like your environment. I'm really gonna do a horrible job of selling the Bravia cam to you, but um, it does a man. All right, I'm gonna butcher this. It's like I don't even really know what the Bravia cam does. Because it's like a webcam, right? It could be a webcam, but it also detects your environment, could set the picture quality based on that. Apparently, I don't know if that ever launched or not. Um, I don't know. To be honest, I'm really bad at explaining what the Bravia cam is because it feels like an unnecessary accessory for me personally. So I never really uh looked into it. Who actually uses the Bravia cam is the question. And I think you'll struggle to find somebody who actually plugged it into their A95 though. There's probably some people that have, but I can't find a use for it. I mean, just being honest. I can't find a use for it. Yeah, yeah, exactly, Carl. Yeah, there's no beating QD OLED in color. Color brightness right now, there's no beating it. Exposure's too high? It might be. Yeah, it's probably too high. Here, I fixed it. Hey, there's your sports for a second. That's all I can give you. That's all I can give you. Um here's a this is kind of sports. I mean, this is motocross. Do you consider motocross sports? What's your favorite TV right now? I don't really have a favorite TV. I think that the best TV I've seen this year is between the G4 and the S95D. I think overall, like technology wise, everything considered. But dang, man, the Bravia 9 is awesome. Like, I would probably pick a Bravia 9 over, let's say, just a WOLED, for example, without MLA. But when you get into like the G4 with MLA, that's where that and the Bravia 9 begins to be like a discussion for me. And I like the Bravia 9 in that discussion because you can get an 85 inch for the same price as a 77 inch. So then, like, value does creep into the equation there. And I'm a big value guy. Like, I always look at the value when it comes down to TVs, which is why like I like the S90C a lot. The 77-inch S90C for 1899, like what a value, you know? So like that's why that's one of the TVs I recommend a lot, but it's hard to say. I don't really have like a definitive favorite TV. They're all really good in the premium category. Like the G4 and the S95D trade blows so much. So much. Um it's crazy how much they trade blows. Like I like the depth that the G4 gives you over the S95D, but I like the color brightness that the S95D gives you over the G4. If I was a consumer, I would be so confused on what to buy. And I don't make it easier on you guys. I really don't. And I feel bad because sometimes you just want definitive answers and I can't just give them to you. And yeah, exactly. No TV really does anything the best right now. They all kind of have their categories where they excel in. And micro LED, like that's just really expensive. That's the biggest downside there. And then the fact that it's all put together like piece by piece. I came in late. How's the B9 comparing to OLED? It's comparing pretty well. There's areas where the OLED is better, and then there's areas where the B9 is better, but this is not a fair comparison. This isn't just OLED in a nutshell. Because the first thing I showed was the B4. That absolutely wasn't fair. I just did that to explain the differences in technology, and it was kind of showing you that even the B4 would look better than the B9 at certain times. I did it again. I call it the B9, and I even wrote it on the screen the whole entire chat. Like, I should have just put the Bravia 9. I failed on that one. But yeah, it is one of those things where it's not a blanket statement that when you're talking about OLED, and I'm apologizing if it felt that way at all, because I didn't want it to come across that way. So 150K, that decision is made easier with micro LED TV. Yeah. If anybody's buying a micro LED TV and you guys want to use one of my affiliate links, please, do that. Like if anybody's watching and is buying that, that would just make my night. Oh, that would make my year. That would be insane. Who does that? That'd be crazy. I've never met anybody or talked to anybody who has a micro LED. Have you? I can't say that I have. I can't say that I have. All right, let's go back into professional and filmmaker. Man, this is a fun stream. You guys are awesome. Sir Holmes, thank you for the super chat. I don't know if I put this up, and I do apologize if I didn't. I just saw this. Huge apology if I didn't put this up yet. But he says color brightness in nits. I know you love contrast, but what TV looks more realistically? Play a movie. So it's hard to define what you mean by realistic, because a lot of people have different definitions for what realistic is to them. Like, I've met people who say, oh, vivid mode is realistic, right? And that to some people is like a joke. Like, vivid mode's not realistic to them. But then there's other people who are like, professional mode and filmmaker mode is realistic. But then to others, they will be like, well, that looks dull and dim. I don't like that. So it really depends on what you mean by realistic and what do you define as realistic. If you're talking about like depth, I think that you're getting that more so with an OLED TV because of self-emissive, right? And that's just the science of it. If you're talking about brightness, you're going to get that more from like the B9, for example, the Bravia 9. I did it again. The Bravia 9. So brightness, if that's what you consider more realistic, then that's what you consider. When you really look at it, it's hard to define what is realism, what is realistic to you, because to some people realistic is reference, and to others realistic is the picture pop, making the picture pop almost like it's real life. So everybody has different definitions, so it's really hard answer to really give you. If you want like the best of both worlds, what can give you what the Bravia 9 can, plus some of the OLED strengths, I would say like QD OLED is going to be where you want to look at for that. There's also, though, some downsides to certain QD OLEDs in terms of like you have to think of some of the manufacturer downsides. Um, you want to look into build quality, like history. There's so much that goes into these TVs. It's not the easiest answer to just like give somebody a recommendation. So yeah, that's the unfortunate part about this is that I can't just tell you what's the best, right? All right. Thank you for that super chat. I really appreciate it. Man, I would love to like just talk to you guys all night. But um I really don't want you to get sick of me. So let's wrap it up here. Let's take some questions. I'm gonna put the Q&A thing on the chat here. So let me put up Q&A. You guys have been amazing today. I'm sorry if I missed any of the trolls. Um, I'll get that cleaned up next time. If it was bad, let me know. I really don't want anybody to have a negative experience on here. Um, I'm sorry if you thought that I was trolling by showing the Bravia 9 next to the B4. I could see how that would be looked at as a troll move. So here we go, Q&A time. I'm not sure I understand this question. Can you clarify this question a little bit? What are your thoughts from Display Week, like the Samsung QD LED, which is confusing, versus QLED? Are you talking about quantum dot, like self-emissive? I think somebody said that was FOMO. I think that said that it can only get to 100 nits or something like that, and they're still developing it. It's not quite ready. If you're talking about self-emissive quantum dots, I love that technology. Like I love the idea behind it. And once it can get bright enough, that's going to be so cool. Because color purity is one of the things that a lot of manufacturers struggle to just completely nail. And we've gotten close with QD OLED, we really have. But man, self-emissive quantum dots, if that's what you're talking about, that'd be pretty crazy. And yes, we do need new names for that. It will be confusing with QD OLED and QLED. It will be better than OLED if it's perfected and able to be brought to higher brightness levels, though. That's a good question. Um, S95D versus Bravia 9, please. Yeah, you definitely will get that in a upcoming video, I promise. Samsung needs to work on their processing. Noticed a big drop off from my S95C compared to my A80J picture processing wise. So the A80J by default does have reality creation on, which is going to help with that perceived clarity look, right? And a lot of people will really group that in with processing, and I think that's a fair thing to do because it is like exclusive to their processor. So I agree with that. I think Samsung needs more enhancement options. I also think that Samsung might be smoothing out fine details a little bit too much. And here's the reason why I think this is. So Samsung doesn't have a on and off feature for their smooth gradation, right? They just put it on by default. So you'll notice that there's hardly any color banding on Samsung TVs. They're just really good with handling gradients. Probably the best on the market at handling gradients just straight up out of the box without having to tweak anything, right? Because you can't tweak anything. It's just going to nail gradients. The downside to that is that if you put on a smooth gradation filter on any TV, what does it do as you crank it up? It smooths away fine details. So sometimes what I've noticed on Samsung TVs, say looking at the S90D and the S95D compared to the G4, for example, what you'll notice is that the G4 actually does seem sharper, clearer, because I think this is what I think. Now, this is just my theory. I'm not 100% sure on this. I think it's because they're just smoothing away the fine details with their smooth gradation filter. Like, I could be completely wrong there, but that's what it feels like. My exposure. So yeah, like, I think that's a really good observation, and I know that's sort of a long answer to your question. When not really your question, it was a statement, but I agree with it 100%. I think Samsung does need to work on that department a lot, because the difference between the G4 and the S90D, S95D for that clarity, that depth this year is huge. Sometimes it's not, right? It's really scene dependent, and that's why I think it is related to um, the smooth gradation just being always on. That's just my theory. There's no way of proving that, right? Like, I can't prove that to you. I don't know the inner workings of how they do these things. And nobody else does either, because they don't tell you. Like, not an expert in the world will be told this stuff, and if they do, it's because they had a chat with the Samsung engineers on how they do this. So it's pretty interesting. But yeah, that stuff fascinates me. Like, I really do want them to work on that. Show the background, please. Yeah, my Apple TV crashed. So it's like, once this goes away, we're still doing Q&A until everybody's questions are answered. But for the most part, yeah. Um, Sony's processing isn't a gimmick. No, I wouldn't say that. I think they do really good with their processing. WOLED has kind of lost the war at this point. I think MLA helps them a lot. By the way, the contrast difference on this is really huge, like really huge. So this is another scene where like the Bravia 9 just kind of does not compete with an OLED on that sense. But yeah, like MLA helps a lot with WOLED. I think without MLA, it's a wrap. Like, I don't even think that it's worth putting out a non-MLA OLED anymore. It's tough because like they're still good TVs, right? Like, if you get, say, a Bravia 8 this year, it's still a really good TV. If you get a C4 this year, it's still a really good TV. The unfortunate part is that it's up against a QD OLED, which is doing almost the same stuff, except for with better color brightness. So that's like the biggest elephant in the room for WOLED right now. Look the same on camera. Yeah. Unfortunately, they can. There's no real way of showing you what's going on here. It's more so just like one of those things where you see it. You guys been in a store before? You seen an OLED next to a mini LED before? Contrast difference is huge, right? So Bravia 8 is not MLA. It is just a WOLED. I'm hoping to get the Bravia 8 to compare to the C4 in time. Gaming Tech always harps about brightness and ditched his S90B or C and just went with his G2. He still has a S95C. He used to have a, I think he used to have a S90B, I got rid of that. I don't even know if he had an S95, S90B, but he definitely, sorry, S95B. He has a S95C for sure, I think. I don't know if he got rid of that, but nah, he's from what I know, he loves his S95C, or at least he did. Get the Bravia 8 and compare it to the Bravia 9. Yeah, I will. Let me ask you this: do you guys want to see a Bravia 9 versus A80L comparison? Both are 65-inch. Not that the size matters on OLED. It doesn't. Like, I could be showing you a 48. It'd be the same as a 83. That's just how self-emissive works. But yeah, I mean, at least they'll look the same size-wise instead of one looking smaller than the other. If you want to see that comparison, or do you think that comparison would be a waste of time? Let me know. Look, there's another C4. Nah, I'm just playing. It's just me splitting the camera. You want to see it, Lisa? Yeah, we could do it. Like, my only thing about showing you the A80L versus the Bravia 9 is that, like, I'm going to do the Bravia 8 versus the Bravia 9 also. So I think what I'll do is I'll just do like a fun little stream with the Bravia 9 and the A80L, and then I'll do Bravia 9 versus 8 as a video. Yeah, I think it's a waste for like a dedicated video maybe, but it could be a good stream. Because the stream's really about just kind of interacting for me anyway. If you guys learn something, that's cool. But it seems like a lot of you guys just like hanging out and talking sometimes, so I appreciate that, and that's what I like too. So I get why people do live streams now. Like, at first I didn't, but like ever since I started doing live streams a few years ago, like, man, it's so fun. It's so fun. I miss my live streams with Classy. I miss my live streams with Max too. Both are just like really busy dudes. Yeah, they could do better. Yep. What was the game changer for OLED? The game changer for OLED, like, definitely, I think, was when the S95B came out. QD OLED in general, the A95K that year as well. Like, before, when you're talking about LCD versus OLED, you had like these distinct advantages that were always going to go to LCD no matter what, like brightness, for example. Um, they still win high APL scenes for the most part, but like a lot of that sort of went away with the new OLEDs. Um, so when you're just talking about like it loses its core advantage, the brightness. So when you put, say, a QN90B, was it the QN90B that year? I think next to a S95B, then like you saw a difference, and it was like, hold up, there's no more advantage here in terms of luminance. And then you saw it the next year as well with the S90C and the QN90C. It was like there's no more real advantage here with luminance. Yeah. Game changer for OLED was QD OLED. And I think MLA has to be thrown in that mix too. Because the G4 absolutely does compete with the S95D, um, but not with color brightness. I think you still do see the color brightness advantage for the S95D. It's just unfortunate that the S95D doesn't have the same clarity and depth as the G4. So that's just the biggest difference. So I'll give you a little sneak peek of like the G4 versus Bravia 9 as far as my thoughts go. It's really close in terms of brightness. Like it's really close. And the Bravia 9 just edges it out because of the high APL scenes, the very high APL scenes. The G4 still can't quite do that, but that's okay, right? Um it it can do like other things. Let me just let me just make sure this is just bigger. Here, cover everything up. Because it's just the Q&A. We're about to end soon. Just answering everybody's questions. We're done with the demos. So if you guys got to go and you want to see more demos, I'm sorry. But I am just answering everybody's questions. But let me get back to that question. So the G4 definitely competes with the Bravia 9 brightness-wise on most scenes. And there's actually some scenes that the G4 is brighter because of the technology. And that's just what I go back to with being self-emissive. It doesn't have to duck down the brightness like a mini LED does at times, where the Bravia 9 still does do that. It still very much performs a lot like an LCD TV. It's just a really good LCD TV. Like this is the best I've seen from a mini LED TV. So there's pros and cons to both, and I think the biggest thing the Bravia 9 has going for it is that the 85-inch is the same price as the 77-inch G4. So it wins, in the value category. Overall TV, I would have to say the G4 is probably the better TV overall. It just does more, right? It just has more depth. It has more, it gives you that at high brightness levels. It gives you everything that I showed you today where OLED was winning, but at higher brightness levels. So that's the thing, is like you're never going to match the contrast of OLED with that in mind. But that's okay. It doesn't have to beat the G4. It doesn't have to. And I don't think it does. And I don't think it beats the S95D either. And I know a lot of people are going to like say I'm a clown for saying that or whatever. Like I don't care. It's just science, man. Like just look at it. It's hard to say a mini LED. Even Sony knows this. Sony markets the heck out of the Bravia 9, and they know that the A95L is better. So it's just going to be like, which one is better for you? And I think there's still going to be people that want the Bravia 9. There's not the risk of OLED burn-in, which a lot of people keep bringing up to me. I don't think it's that big of a deal, but I could see why people hate that thought in the back of their mind. So, Bravia 9 can get there. It's not an OLED though. And it doesn't have to be. That's the biggest thing that I want to communicate here, is like it doesn't have to beat OLED. Like I know the thumbnail is like better than OLED. In some areas it can be. But if we're talking about premium versus premium, I think ultimately when it's all said and done, I don't think there's going to be a reviewer out there that's going to put the G4 under the Bravia 9. I don't think there's going to be a reviewer out there that puts the S95D under the Bravia 9. So I think that's what you'll see. And again, the Bravia 9 is a fantastic TV, and it might be the best TV for you at the end of the day. Yeah, the B9 does what it's advertised to do. It absolutely does. It was marketed as being Sony's brightest TV ever. It is. It was marketed as being their best mini LED TV ever. It is. So, yeah, it does what it's advertised to do. It's just unfortunate that some of the media outlets, kind of ran with the whole it being so similar to the reference monitor that it can do 4,000 nits. It can't do 4,000 nits. It can't even tone map 4,000 nits. So that's the thing that people really got to understand, is like there was a mixed message from media outlets, not Sony themselves. Like Sony never said this hit 4,000 nits. They said it was based off. Say they said the mastering monitor and this is the same kind of technology, the same backlight. It's just science, though. It's like self-emissive display versus a backlight technology. You know, it's one of those things that I think if you saw a Bravia 9 next to a G4, same room, lights are off, just you and those two TVs, or you and the S95D and a Bravia 9, lights off, those two TVs, cycling through a majority of different content. I promise you, most of you will gravitate towards the OLED. That's just the technology. It's there's a technology limitation here, no matter how good it gets. Like it might win a lot of areas, but the eye test, like if you're doing blind tests with people, I don't think it will win a blind test. I think when Vincent does his blind shootout, an OLED will win that. But again, it's not designed to beat an OLED. It's not designed to replace an OLED. It's unfortunate that message got out there like that, but Sony doesn't even market it that way. They don't even think that way. And I promise you, if you don't see an OLED as their flagship next year, you can come back and say, I told you so. I told you so. You could, yeah, you could do that. But I promise you that next year, if their flagship isn't an OLED TV, I'll be shocked. I'll be completely shocked. Bro, the A95L can't compete. I know you're trolling, but I'm just going to put this comment up there anyway. I think this is another example of most people would pick the A95L if they saw it side by side. And that's not to take away from the Bravia 9. It's not. It's just real, like, I'm just giving you real talk, right? You just want real communication here and real answers. That's my real answer there. If you love mini LEDs though, shoot, this is the best mini LED TV ever. And I know some people who just only buy LCD TVs. I would buy this TV over a regular WOLED. Like, from what I've seen here today with the C4, I'd buy the Bravia 9 over it. I know I'd be giving up contrast. I'd still struggle with it though. And I know in the back of my mind when I saw those scenes where it does look a little bit flat compared to what I could get. That's one of the things we go back to. It's like I would regret my decision if I bought it, probably, in certain areas. But it's a great TV. Like, that's it. Like, there's no question about it. It's a premium TV. It's well deserving of that. And the fact that we go back to 85-inch is the same price as a 77-inch G4. All right, now we're having conversations there, you know? Like, I can convince myself of that. But you are giving stuff up. A95L struggles over 2000 nits content Well, yeah, that's just the way that they tone map. That's the way that Sony designs their tone mapping. Bravia 9 can't display over 3000 nits content for tone mapping. So, you don't think Darko was trolling? He was responding to another viewer. All right, sorry, Darko. I apologize, Darko. I don't know what's going on in chat. Everybody said you were trolling, so it's like, I don't know, man. I get these things mixed up. Sorry if I called you a troll and you're not actually trolling. Thanks for calling that out, High Def. Yeah, and here's another like misconception that everybody has about OLED and LCD. Like they're saying OLED's not for a bright room. Yeah, if you've seen a G4, you would think that it's for a bright room. This TV gets very bright. So and the reflection handling on it is really good as well. Here, let me show you the reflection on the Bravia 9. Oh goodness. Let me take that down a little bit. Where are we going? Hold on one sec. See the light? So that you see how the light scatters across like that? Here, let me turn it off. So if you have a globe light like this sitting above your TV, just know that that reflection handling will be like that. If you the QN 900D next to it is even crazier though. All right, lights back off. See if I at least put the screensaver thing on. Oh no. It's fine. Do you like the S95D? I love the S95D. I think it's really good. I can't believe you're still streaming. Impressive. What can I say? I'm bored. I'm bored. Nah, I'm having fun. This is fun. And I'm answering questions. So as long as you guys questions, I got answers. So we're just doing Q&A. All right. So I'll do last call. We'll do about, let's see, what time is this? All right, I'll go 10 more minutes and then I'm calling it as a hard stop there. You guys have been amazing tonight. Do make sure you hit the like button if you enjoyed this stream so far. And if you have the last second questions, put them in the chat. You had to see one for a while too before you sold it. Nice. 90% sure that Darko is Tony DeLucci. If he is, I'm banning him. That guy sucks. That guy sucks. Nobody likes that guy. Nah, I'm just playing. I don't know him. He just puts laughing emojis on my posts, though. It's kind of annoying. Thank you for the stream. Gotta cook food. Yeah, I'm not trying to hold you. If you gotta go, you gotta go. I'm about to leave too. Thank you, Sweet Can, for hanging out, man. All of you guys, it's so appreciated. Like I appreciate that so much. Like you don't even know. we have to have more conversations like this, I think, because like getting your guys' opinions and understanding where you guys are coming from, I start to understand the audience a little bit more and what to give you guys in terms of content that you'll actually enjoy and like and might be different. Because I'm trying to be different than every other creator. I promise you that. Like I want to be my own me. I want to be my version of KG, you know? Like I don't want to be another Vincent. Like I'm not going to learn calibration, you know, I'm not going to be another Classy. I'm not trying to be another anybody. I'm just trying to be me and I love it. It's fun. So, thank you. That's everybody's posts. Yeah. It's pretty annoying. I think a lot of people are annoyed with that. I blocked him, but you can't block his emojis. Did this guy just bring up a 4-year-old OLED TV or old TV? Oh, the B9? Oh man, should we do the B9 versus the B9? I don't know where I could get one, but that would be pretty funny. This guy sucks. That's a bit harsh. Oh man. Well, I mean, I saw what he said about Classy, so it's like that's what got me. Darko is him. All right, he's gone. He's gone. I don't get why you would tune into my chat or why would you tune into my stream if you hate me? Who hate watches? You know what I mean? That's weird. Like, please don't do that. Oh man. There you go. Um, this is a really good question. S95D or G4 2024 winner? I really want to know how the S95D is going to be perceived at a reference shootout because there's things that I've heard reference people talk about with the coding, and some don't mind it, some hate it. I don't know if that's going to factor into anything. Is that going to factor to any evaluations? When you get really close to the screen, is that going to factor into anything, right? Because it does look different when you get really close. From afar, it sort of looks pretty much the same sharpness wise, clarity wise, like the S90D. But you get close to the TV, it looks a little different. So I don't know how the S95D is going to be perceived, and that's going to be fun to see. Um, the G4 has a lot going for it. It depends on how they are going to use the tone mapping. Um, if it's all calibrated correctly and it's able to show you just like everything the way it's supposed to, I think the G4 has a really strong chance. If the tone mapping is more so closer to like what the out of the box tone mapping behavior is, where it like cuts off color, and that's the thing with the G4 is it will sort of like make it look like it's losing more color than it's actually losing because of the way that it aggressively tone maps. So you will see colors completely disappear on the G4, but if you use professional mode, you can get a lot of those colors back, and a lot of the same thing is true for the C4 as well. Um, it's just the way that LG does their tone mapping. And I'm not talking about dynamic tone mapping, by the way. I'm talking about the actual tone mapping for HDR for the TV. It's pretty interesting how that works. OLED on the right. Oh man. All right, 5 more minutes. 5 more minutes, and then we're out of here. I've got a timer up. I'm just making sure I got everybody. This is a good question. 83G4, 85B9. So 83G4 is significantly more pricey, right? Unless you go through like the military appreciation thing, which if you check out my community post, that is available right now. I know they restocked them. So if you have access to um, military credentials, or you're a first responder, or if you're a teacher, a student, there's other things that are eligible as well. Definitely look into that. I made a community post about it. You're able to get, after the discount code, 83-inch LGG for 4,094, I believe it was. So about $4,100. You can get an 83-inch G4 if you meet those credentials. So definitely check out my community post. I made it like a few days ago. I'll probably remind everybody again later on this week, because that is just a crazy thing that LG is doing, and it's running until, I believe, the 5th of June. Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, that's an outstanding price. Because that's like a savings of what, $2,000 or something when it's all said and done. And that's before tax. So a teacher buying a G4 now. I mean, I don't know. There's some cool teachers out there. I know a few. Brad, yeah, I would say that Samsung is definitely marketing their QD OLED stronger this year than they've ever marketed it. They're marketing their QD OLEDs. Well, I guess I should say they're OLEDs, because who knows about the S90D later on for 77-inch. That's another story for another day. But let's just say like the S95D, for example, that's marketed heavy on social media and stuff. I've been seeing a ton of ads for the S95D. I don't see a ton of ads for like the QN90D. I don't think I've ever seen an A95L ad though. I'll be honest with you. B9 versus B7, how big is the difference? I think brightness wise, it's probably not gonna be super big of a difference brightness wise, like brightness capability wise. I bet they're very similar. Bravia 9 is brighter. The biggest difference is going to be the backlight technology is different in the Bravia 9 than the Bravia 7. The Bravia 9 is using the new LED driver that they showed as the prototype demo, right? That's the Bravia 9. The Bravia 7 is using just like pretty much what you saw with the X95L for mini LED. It's pretty much that, just a little bit more refined with a new algorithm. So it's got the same dimming algorithm as the Bravia 9, but it is not the same backlight technology as the Bravia 9, if that makes sense. Uh, Let me finish up these questions and then we're signing out. KG, what would mini LED need for you to do to move on from OLED over to LCD? Well, it's going to need to get a way to show way more zones, right? Like it has to, it's going to be hard for them to match a self-emissive technology and not cost a ton of money. This is the closest that they've gotten. Like this is by far the closest that they've gotten, and it's an impressive TV on its own. But like to match it, for me to move on, I guess it doesn't even have to match it, right? You just say move over. I don't know. I don't really buy TVs for myself as much as I would like to. I review them, and I enjoy them while I have them, and I cycle TV so much. So, like, I never get a chance to really appreciate. I would say I watch my projector more than I watch my TVs at this point. I would say I watch my 77-inch A80J downstairs more than I watch any TV. If I am watching a movie, it's usually on that. But that's just because the way I have it set up. And it's uncomfortable to watch a movie in this space. I don't really have a couch up here. Um, so I'm looking to change that. I'm looking to redo this room a little bit more as like a home theater room slash studio. But this is where I have most of my TVs, and so it's hard to like have a TV. But I don't think there's like a way for me to answer this question without it sounding like I think that LCD is like doomed or something. It's not doomed. If you like just LCDs, I think the Bravia 9 is that perfect TV for you. Um, how do you match self emissive display though? Like you can't. You need a lot of dimming zones. You need to get to a higher brightness level. Maybe, like I don't know. What, a projector? You call yourself a TV enthusiast? Yeah, I watch the projector sometimes. It's all about the immersion for me. Like if I could get a big old TV up here, I would do that. But yeah, it's only there just, for fun. Mayan says B9 or G4 for movies and sports here from Singapore. It's a good question. For sports and movies, if you watch a lot of SDR sports, I think the B9 is probably where I would go for sports. But movies, we start to get into a conversation of like you watch a lot of HDR movies, you're going to notice that contrast, that depth that the G4 is giving you. So that's tough, man. That's really tough. I still think the G4 is ultimately the better TV. So I would give the edge to that with the caveat if you watch a ton of sports, that, that SDR brightness, if that matters to you more, is going to be kind of the difference maker for you. And then Andrew, thank you for the super chat. He says, great stream. Here are some pennies for that Bravia cam you strive for. Andrew, thank you. I appreciate that. That's pretty funny, man. All right, I think we got all the questions. Let's see. Oh, there's one more. What circumstances would you choose mini LED? I think the Bravia 9 got close to making me think about an 85-inch. I think if I'm a consumer, though, it's easier to say, like, yeah, I'll get the Bravia 9 and be okay with it for 5 years and then shut myself off, never watch me again. But since I do this, like, as my profession, it's hard to, like, buy a TV and enjoy it. Like, I go back to that. And I'm so critical of TVs that I don't think that I could ever sit there and, like, really enjoy it. This sounds sad, but I don't think that I could sit there and buy a Bravia 9 and, like, really enjoy it the way I would want to. I like the Bravia 9 value over, like, say, the G4, for example, but it's still really expensive, harder to justify, either way. Like, that's a tough one, man. Because I almost, considered, like, I could pull the trigger on a Bravia 9. Last year, I actually almost bought an 85-inch, Sony LCD TV. So, but and that's with me really liking, OLED TV technology better. Because it's not about, like, anything else other than, like, what I want. I want bigger size at this point. OLED couldn't give me that last year, so that's why I was considering it. This year it can. I can get an 83-inch G series TV, but it's harder to justify too still for the price. So I think the circumstance would be that mini LED gets so close to OLED and it's on the line where if I bought the TV, I wouldn't feel like it's a waste, like value wise. because I take value into consideration so much. So hopefully that makes sense, right? Now you have to review the Bravia cam. I said I was gonna do a review on the Bravia cam when I got the A95L, and I never did. So I lied about that. I feel bad. Um, but it's like once you get it in your hands, you're like, what am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say? Um, Organic Love, thank you for the super chat. He said, thanks for everything you do. Thank you, Organic Love. I appreciate that. And you guys are all awesome today. Thank you. Everybody, man. Everybody. Awesome. Cool. All right. We are checking out. I'll have to catch you guys next week. I will stream next week. I don't know what. Maybe it'll be I don't know what it'll be. Just stay tuned to the community post and I'll let you guys know exactly what's going on. You guys are amazing. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for stopping by. Hit the like button on the way out. If you guys are buying a TV, doesn't matter what TV it is, like please consider buying it on my affiliate links. That is going to help drive and push the channel further in the future technology wise. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Have a good night and thank you for watching. Peace.